online. Hey people, welcome back to my stream on Chaos and Noah. We're gonna continue where we left off. Broom, broom, quick, get on if you're going on the field trip. All aboard. Lying face down on the floor, Nishijo Takumi held a colored pencil in his hand. The one he was currently using was yellow, having switched from a red one only a few minutes ago. He joyously ran his pencil across the spread out sketchbook, which he was nearly lying on top of. Takumi loved drawing pictures. He would always doodle on the edges of his notes during every lesson at school. Let me move this window. The morning news had been left running in the background, but since news and the like was boring to the fourth grader like Takumi, he did not pay it any mind. Broom, broom, candy. Get your candy here, only 300 yen. He was drawing a yellow bus and pretending he was the driver. All ashore that's going ashore. We're heading out, broom. As he imagined the scene in his head, he made it actually happen in the picture. Times when he would get too excited and accidentally draw on the tatami beneath him was not exactly infrequent. Nanami, who would always read manga beside him, would scold him each time he did it. She had some nerve considering she was the little sister, usually saying things along the lines of, "Oh, come on, don't get the floor all dirty." Even so, Takumi never became any less immersed in his art. However, when he got to the point of drawing the people in the window, his hand suddenly stopped. Then he ripped out the sketchbook and threw it away. On the previous day, on the day where the auto field trip had only been one more day away, Takumi had suddenly been told by his parents that he couldn't go, even though it had been something he had been looking forward to for a very long time. So much so that he had been in a constant state of excitement for the entire day, wanting the next to arrive as soon as possible. The cruel declaration from his parents was something Takumi absolutely could not accept. He kicked and screamed, saying he would definitely go no matter what happened, but it was no use. His parents would not listen no matter what he said, choosing only to repeat the same words again and again. "You just can't. We're doing this for you, Takumi." Takumi sank in his bed and trembled with so much frustration he was very close to ripping his futon to shreds. He resented his parents from the bottom of his heart. For Takumi, that field trip had been a big event that could not have come soon enough. Everyone else in his class could go, but he alone was not allowed to. From his perspective, that was beyond unreasonable. Takumi was in a lonely world, everyone else in a super fun world. To him, it felt like he alone had been completely cut off from it. He could not forget the teacher, his classmates, anyone. They had all left him behind. And he especially could not forgive his parents for their sudden, unfair decision. Those feelings transformed into pure hatred toward his parents and toward all his classmates. Takumi bit his lips hard enough to draw blood. He muttered curses at them over and over. "I don't think anyone should be allowed to go." The morning arrived. The phone had been ringing over and over again since dawn. Each time his mother would pick up the phone, she seemed to be very shaken while talking. Takumi could not get even a single wink of sleep. The clock passed 9 a.m. In her usual well-behaved manner, Nanami was sitting on the floor cushion, reading manga. She had told Takumi the day before, "I'm going to take a break from school to keep you company, Kay," as if she thought it was the obvious thing for her to do. This guy, man, how the fuck does he fuck over his younger sister if his younger sister was like this? So I don't know, man. Well, I kind of get it. I actually kind of get it. Well, I kind of get it, but I don't know, man. Anyway, let's continue. Their father had already gone to work, so he was not around. Their mother was very busy with the phone calls and had yet to prepare breakfast. There was no need for him to go to school that day. Sullen as he was, Takumi opened his sketchbook and began drawing to distract himself. His feelings of rage refused to subside, so he tore up the sketchbook in frustration, and as if he did that, however, as he did that. Nanami sounded puzzled. Takumi had thought she was talking about his picture, but her gaze was actually aimed at the TV. Nanami called out loudly to her mother, who was still busy with the phone calls. Now listening, Takumi followed his sister's gaze and stared vacantly at the TV screen. The screen displayed a scene of a collapsed elevated highway. A section that was only about 50 meters long had fallen. Regrettably, a bus driving along there at that time had been caught up in the collapse, toppling onto its side beneath the overpass. It was the very same bus that Takumi should have been on, the bus his classmates were riding on. From a single glance, Takumi could imagine exactly what had happened. His classmates were on the screen. One child was sobbing. Another had blood all across their forehead. Another was lying on top of a stretcher being carried into an ambulance. The reporter was announcing the state of the accident with a great look on their face, but Takumi did not really understand what they were talking about. His mother was standing at the entrance to the room, holding a cordless phone. Her face was pale.
遠足のバスが高速道路で事故に遭っちゃったんだって。
それ、今テレビでやってる。
それで、斉藤先生が。
died. For some reason, Takumi was already sure of this. Everything happening on the TV was eerily similar to what he had pictured in his head the night before, when he had been overwhelmed by frustration and hatred. There was only one feeling that occupied the depths of his mind, a peculiar conviction, one where he was sure that he had precognitive abilities. Long ago, a show on the TV that examined people who claimed to have ESP had been etched into Takumi's mind. A person with precognitive abilities had appeared on the show, shocking the world by demonstrating frightening ESP in the experiment. The experiment verified whether or not the psychic could guess which of the 12 items were placed in which numbered box. They did this by placing the subject in a different room and proceeding to have them predict which cards with the item name on them belonged to which box. Afterwards, staff members in the other room would place the actual items into the boxes, then verify how many the psychic foretold. The person on the show received an incredible 90% correct, causing an uproar among the entertainers. As this happened, Takumi tested if he could predict things the same way the psychic on the TV did, only to get every single one correct, of course. Of course, he did not tell anyone else about this. So, as he gazed up at the TV, he believed that the accident was yet another instance of his precognitive predictions being exactly right.
クラスの半数以上の子が怪我したらしくて。なんてこと。
His His mother tried hugging him as he lay down, but Takumi avoided her grasp and crawled to the corner of the room.
でも本当によかったわ。
Her eyes swam about as she whispered in a hollow voice.
今日タキちゃんを休ませておいて本当によかった。
Takumi felt sick. They were useless, he thought to himself. His abilities had not made a single difference. Just thinking about it made his heart turn into ice in an instant. After that, Takumi stopped speaking to others for a while. He quite literally went mute. He did not say a single word to another soul. His parents worried about him, and their already overprotective habits escalated even further. Finding them to be acting more and more ridiculous, Takumi thus decided to play the role of a mute boy. He thought of it as revenge against them. Due to his complete lack of talking, his mother took him to be seen in the psychiatric ward of the General Hospital, and there he was diagnosed with PTSD. Since Takumi did not actually have PTSD or any of sort, he never once took his medicine. He merely pretended to. His parents never realized he was acting, and in the end, he didn't feel even a hint of pity as they worried themselves sick over him. Everything felt like a lie. The world was filled with falsities. It was overflowing with malice. It was out to get me.
いつもあなたが使っているチャットルームへログインして自分で調べてみてください。私の言っていることが間違っていないってわかるはずです。それと、私が言ったことは全部本心です。これだけは信じて。
After bombarding me with her nonsensical theories, Yua had said that one last thing before she left. There was no way I could believe her. How the hell was I supposed to believe someone that had been lying to me this entire time? I refused to believe that everything there was me, like Yua had said. Everything she had said about me being Shogun was a total joke. I wanted to believe that. But when I checked the timestamps in the chat log, there was no mistaking that conversation wasn't matching up.
僕は無遊病なの。
Problem was, during the time Shogun appeared to be posting in chat, I hadn't been sleeping at all. If I recalled correctly, I had indeed been in the ad cafe at that time, but I hadn't slept, so I couldn't have been sleepwalking. In that case, I wondered why I didn't have any memories of posting as Shogun. Maybe my body had been being controlled by someone else, which could mean... No, that's ridiculous. I felt that the best way to calm myself down was to escape from reality into the fictional world of ESO. In ESO, everything was fake, a lie. At the end of the day, its world was just a part of a video game. But in Baselard, I could become the godlike existence known as Nineheart. A fabrication like that, a lie like that, was something I'd readily accept. I wanted to stay there. Nobody would mind if I did, would they? Or maybe the world of ESO was actually the real world, and my own reality was the fake one, just a game. In that case, Nishijo Takumi would be the fictional character, and Nineheart would be my true form.
ねえ、ナイトハルト。
Naito Haruto. I called out to the paladin standing inside the monitor. Was I controlling you, or were you controlling me? Which was it? Could you be real, and I a mere avatar? What if the world I was in was just a game in of itself? And that were true. That would solve every mystery I was struggling with. What if, just like how I was staring at Nightheart within my monitor, what if someone was staring at me in the exact same way? Right. I hate that. I hate the doing fourth wall bullshit here right now. Anyway, whose eyes are those eyes? That would make them the player controlling me. If I did have someone controlling me, would it kill them to do less of the less of a shit job? Though I guess an avatar couldn't really complain. It would also explain how Shogun and I could be the same person, validating that theory. Come to think of it, it was kind of like what Lizlet was. Nightheart and Liza couldn't possibly exist in a base lord at the same time. I was the only one playing as them after all. Maybe Shogun and Nishijo Takumi were similar and couldn't exist in the world at the same time. It was also possible that it was a bug. Speaking of bugs, encountering a bizarre girl in the murder case as well as a whole bunch of other things that happened could have been bugs too. The image of Shogun had sent to me flashed through my mind. I gripped my head with my hands and frantically shook it away. I wanted to run away from everything. If, maybe, just maybe, there was a player controlling me. Please, reset me already. Just remake my character and start from scratch, please. The waiting room of the university hospital was filled to the brim with middle-aged people waiting to be examined. The view hadn't changed from a few years prior. It almost made me feel as if time itself had stopped there. Moreover, everyone there looked miserable, and the smell of disinfectant pervaded the stagnant air. It was the kind of place that sucked all the life out of you and made you wish for the sweet embrace of death in 5-minute stops. And I don't like hospitals. The way the lobbies had countless people, yet the corridors beyond felt completely devoid of them, had always freaked me out ever since I was a little kid. It almost felt like the corridors themselves were sort and stewed in the stench of death. I had always felt like that was what a hospital truly represented beyond its outer facade. I even thought that some terrible creature was lying in wait deep within the corridors. That was why I really didn't want to go there, but there was something I had to make sure of no matter what, so I found myself reluctantly waiting my turn in line for an examination. Even when I tried to fully immerse myself in ESO, the bombshell that Yua had dropped on me continued to swirl around and around inside my head, and I haven't been able to concentrate for even a second. As a result, my mind had been torturing me with all the various possibilities all the way until morning, and I'd become genuinely scared that something was wrong with me. That was why I went to the hospital, to get an official stamp of approval from a medical professional that said Nishijo Takumi is completely normal. I wanted to prove that it wasn't me who was abnormal, but Yua. I was used to coming to the hospital psych ward, and yet when the girl at the reception asked, "Is this your first time?" I nodded without thinking. Ever since the bus accident, my mother had regularly taken me here for checkups. During middle school, my physician said that I'm completely recovered, and I stopped going after that. This was my first time coming back in about 4.5 years. I'm gonna choose the positive delusion. Kind of makes you think about the guy in the suit and behind everyone here. Why would there be a guy here? Anyway, the first physician had some had been some senile professor who was supposed to have some authority in the field, but had only seen him a few times, and after that, someone else had taken over, a student of his or something. Although, despite calling himself the other guy's student, he hadn't been particularly young. To be honest, he looked pretty old. The night before, I was reminded of something that Dr. Takashina had said.
ここは病気や怪我だけじゃなくて心にも効く病院なんだよ。
I hated hospitals, but that doctor had been very nice. He left a good impression on me, and I thought he was a good person. Well, even then, I still totally fooled all the adults to the very end. That is, except Dr. Takashina. He'd seen through it all. He was the one that declared me completely recovered.
あの人に調べてもらえれば。
I wonder what he'd say if he learned that I'd become an otaku freak. Nah, there was no way he'd remember me after all this time. It didn't take long for me to be called into the examination room. I expected to be waiting there for quite a while, but I guess I was wrong. Why had there been so many people in the lobby then? Maybe they were being paid to sit there just to make it look busy. It was a different examination room than the one from 4 years ago. But when I stepped inside, I was welcomed with a face I remember dearly.
いやー、西条くん。
Dr. Takashina rose to his feet with a familiar smile, then reached his hand out to me. Realizing he was searching for a handshake, I hurriedly reciprocated.
また君に会えて嬉しいよ。いや、嬉しいというのは変かな。君にしてみれば、またここに来るというのは辛いことなわけだからね。
Despite it being 4 years since we'd last seen each other, it was incredibly friendly. My slight nervousness that I've been struggling with was eased in seconds.
それで、今日はどうしたんだい？
He gestured for me to sit down, so I did. Likely due to all the tension melting away, I told him everything about what had happened to me and what might happen to me in the future. I stumbled over my words many times, probably because I wasn't used to talking so much. But Dr. Takashina didn't rush me. He listened to me intently with a serious look on his face, while offering occasional interjections to make sure I knew he was following. Of course, I also told him everything about Yua and the demon girl. I considered that doing so might be dangerous, but right now he was the only person I could rely on.
結論から先に言おうか。
After hearing everything I had to say, Dr. Takashina pondered for a moment, then began to speak.
君は正常だよ。何の問題もない。
本当ですか？
もちろん。
Those were the words I wanted to hear more than anything. I dragged myself to the hospital for the sole purpose of hearing them. I was scared that he'd tell me that there was something wrong with me, and I had no idea what I would have done if he had. But getting checked out by Dr. Takashina had been the right choice after all.
むしろおかしいのはその楠木さんという女性だね。西条くんの話だけで判断するのは難しいが、おそらくその女性は精神的な障害を患っているだろう。
Mental disability. Oh my god. Wait, that really caught me off guard, man. Yeah, that's gonna be...
今後君に危険を及ぼすような行動に出る可能性がある。
Just a disclaimer. It's not that I have anything against, it's mental illness is a serious thing, but on Yua's case, it was like, yeah. Anyway, I just want to drop that disclaimer.
すぐに警察に通報しよう。
え、
The police. True. That was probably the safest option. She was right. There had to be something wrong with Yua. She was batshit insane. The thought of her stalking me again sent shivers down my spine.
もちろん僕も責任を持って君を保護するつもりだ。
Looking at me with a powerful, reassuring gaze, Dr. Takashina clapped his hand on my shoulder encouragingly. He even handed me his business card, complete with his phone number.
何か問題が起きたらいつでも連絡をくれて構わないよ。
Okay, now I know. Okay, I was pondering why exactly I laughed at that moment. I was like, that's a strong accusation, you know. That's a very strong accusation to give. You know, that was a very strong accusation. But we're in the middle of the illusionary state. But I was like, what? Did he really say that? And I just, it's we're in the middle of a positive delusion. So that really caught me off guard.
24時間いつでも君のところに飛んでいくからね。
いいんですか？
当たり前だよ。僕は君の主治医なんだから。
I was on the verge of tears. I was truly grateful to be under his care. From the bottom of my heart, doctors as good as him were hard to find nowadays.
悪魔女のことについても通報した方が良さそうだね。西条くん、君の見たその女がニュージェネの真犯人で間違いないよ。これはものすごい目撃証言だ。
Dr. Takashida seemed somewhat excited, but you couldn't tell from his tone. As always, he spoke calmly. I don't know. I got that from his tone. I don't know. I got an impression he really was encouraging there.
事件は西条くんのおかげで解決だ。君は渋谷のヒーローだよ。僕はこの瞬間に立ち会えて実に光栄に思う。
I was a hero? This wasn't ESO. There was no way someone like me could be a hero. No way in hell. But when I imagined it, my face just about broke into a grin. Middle school girls, high school girls, college girls, MILFs, all of them would be screaming my name. And how much they love me. I'll be renowned all over the world as one of the most charismatic people to ever live. Being a TV celebrity sounded cool and all, but I didn't want to appear in front of people, so I'll create a startup company instead. Then I'll become a hugely charismatic boss making big bucks. I'll be surrounded by a harem of beautiful secretaries serving my every need. And of course I'd trip all their flats and make them go crazy over me. I'd have a high-rise apartment in Roppongi and hire a bunch of cute maids. It'll be like my own personal maid cafe. Of course, I'll be indulging in endlessly passionate nightly services. Joke. Just kidding.
まさに勝ち組。
Delusion over. I abruptly came to my senses, only to find myself sitting on a sofa in the lobby. Unable to grasp what exactly was going on, I frantically looked around the room. Beside me was a hunched-over old lady. Her eyes were covered in wrinkles, so I couldn't tell whether she was asleep or awake. I took a look at the clock above the reception desk, and I saw that I'd been waiting in the lobby for a full hour. Had that all been just a dream? I hadn't slept last night, so had I dozed off while waiting? How glorious it would be if the dream was actually real. Talk about disappointing. In the end, I found myself waiting for another 2 hours before my name was finally called. When I entered the examination room, almost felt like the same events I'd seen him in the dream were happening again. Dr. Takashina even appeared almost exactly like he had in the dream. It was probably just that he barely changed since the last time I saw him 4 years ago. But this time he didn't rise from his seat, nor did he offer to shake my hand.
今日はどうしました？
And unlike the dream, he didn't seem especially happy to see me again.
西条です。
ん？ああ、これはご丁寧に。
Oh no. This is not gonna work out so good, man. This is not gonna work out.
高階です。はじめまして。
He bowed his head cheerfully. I was lost for words. It's a pleasure to meet you. That was what he just said. He had completely forgotten me. I shouldn't be surprised. It's been 4 years after all. But I truly believe that Dr. Takashina, of all people, would remember me. Maybe that was arrogant, but I'd hope for it all the same. So my heart was overwhelmed with loneliness and emptiness when those expectations were smashed to pieces. It felt like my very existence was being denied. Dr. Takashina started talking to me while making eye contact, but I averted my eyes.
無遊病かどうか調べてほしいと書いてあるが、何かあったのかな？
Right. I'd written that on the questionnaire, but it was all meaningless now. He didn't remember me at all.
別にいいじゃん。先生が覚えてようが覚えてなかろうが関係ないっしょ。最初の目的を忘れちゃダメ。
Oh, right. I hadn't come here to meet Dr. Takashina. I'd come here to prove that I was completely healthy and sane human being. Our reunion was merely a bonus. Who gives a shit if you've forgotten about me? If Seiratan hadn't stepped in and given me that advice, I would have come dangerously close to losing sight of myself. Phew.
自分でも知らないうちに外に出かけててパソコンで文章打っててそれを全く覚えてないなんてありえますか？
Damn, he's really breaking it, man. He's really next level socially awkward, man.
おお。
知り合いからそう指摘されて混乱しちゃって。
その知り合いの人が冗談を言っているっていう可能性はあると思うかい？
Just a little Jordan. Yua's eyes had been serious. It hadn't looked at all like she was messing with me. At the very least, I had no doubt that Yua believed what she said.
わかりません。
なるほど。ちなみにその知り合いとはどういう関係だろう？恋人？
はあ？
Where the hell had that come from? And what did it have to do with anything? Was I missing something here?
いや、言い方が悪かったかな。じゃあ言い直そう。その知り合いの人は、君が意識もないまま歩き回っているのを実際に目撃したのかな？
Oh, so that's what he meant. I shook my head.
じゃあ、証拠はないわけだ。
I once again shook my head.
そいつ探偵気取りっていろいろ証拠を突きつけてきて。
うん、そういうことか。ちなみに、これまでにも無遊病の兆候はあったかい？
いえ。
朝目覚めたらいつものベッドじゃなくて違う場所で寝てたっていうことは過去に一度でもあった？
いえ。
じゃあその知り合いに言われたのが初めてっていうことだね。
Nodding weakly, I steeled myself and spoke.
僕、寝てないんです。
もしかして 怖いのかな。でもそんなに深刻になる必要はないよ。
いや、
That's not what I meant. But I couldn't figure out how to explain it, and it was too late to say it out loud anymore. I was too flustered. After scribbling something on a medical form, Dr. Takashina swirled away from me from his chair and leaned forward toward the back of the examination room.
葉月くん、ちょっと。
はい。
Ooh. This person seems suspicious. Why does she have a specific name? And why did she wear glasses? Anyway. The young nurse rushed over to him, and Dr. Takashina showed her the form. As he did so, he whispered for her to do something, and she quickly withdrew to the back of the room. What had that been about? The doctor turned back toward my puzzled self. Then in a gentle voice he began to explain to me how sleepwalking worked. When a person falls asleep, they first begin a non-REM sleep, before eventually progressing to REM sleep. The non-REM sleep is a deeper sleep where the brain hibernates and the brain activity ceases. Meanwhile, REM sleep is the kind of sleep where the body is resting, but the brain is active in a state that's fairly close to being awake.
無遊病はノンレム睡眠の時に起きやすいって言われてる。脳が通常の活動をしていないから普通の受け答えとかは成立しにくいけど、ちゃんと返事もするし、階段などを踏み外さずに上り下りすることだってできる。原因としては精神的なストレスを抱えてる時になりやすいんだ。子供に多い症状だけど、成人でもよくある症状なんだよ。これでわかっただろ？深刻になることはないって言った意味が。
But I hadn't been sleeping. Even though I haven't been sleeping, I still done things I didn't remember. The time Shogun had been posting from room 37 in the chat room should have been when I was busy playing ESO. Could sleepwalking really be possible there? I wanted to ask him that, but he was already moving to a different topic.
無遊病かどうかを調べる方法としてはいくつかある。一番手っ取り早いのはここのベッドで寝てもらうことだね。ただ特定条件じゃないと発生しない場合もあるかもしれない。例えば自分のベッドじゃないとダメとか。意識がない状態で出歩くにしても目的もなくふらふらと歩き続けるのか、それとも何らかの強迫観念があってそれに影響されて何らかの一連の目的を持って出歩いているのか。それに君の精神状態についても特定の条件下じゃないとダメかもしれない。自宅のベッドの上ならリラックスできるけど、ここじゃリラックスのしようがないわけだ。どうする？とりあえず寝ていってみるかい？
I had nothing to lose, so I didn't see a reason not to try. Then, after I proved I wasn't sleepwalking, I could try asking the real question I had in mind. The nurse from before, Hazuki-san, or something, guided me over to the hospital bed located at the back of the room. As if it wasn't a bed meant for sleeping, it was firm and uncomfortable. Then again, considering the sofa I usually sleep on, that shouldn't pose any problems for me.
3時間くらいしたら起こしに来ますから。
The nurse was pretty damn cute. As I lied on the bed, I took a quick peek at her face while being careful to avoid eye contact. Her baby face made her look kind of unreliable, and even had this almost despotent aura about her. But she was doing her job pretty well. She felt like a heroine right out of a classic eroge, One with Kinki Hospital 6.
できるだけ目は離さないようにしていますので、安心して眠ってくださいね。
You know, I'm thinking. Okay, a little comment. For some reason when I saw this, when I saw the maid, of course I already watched anime and I have an idea what's special about this. I mean the nurse. Why am I saying maid? The nurse. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the gas station attendant in Persona 4. This is one of those moments. Anyway, let's continue. Basically, if symptoms of sleepwalking occurred, like I started wandering around on my own, she'd make sure to take care of me.
それでは、ごゆっくり。
After giving a slight smile, the nurse closed the curtain and left the hospital room. Now surrounded by a pure white curtain, I took a deep breath. All around me, I could hear the voices of doctors examining patients, the sound of nurses running around, and the sound of the door to the examination room opening and closing. Yeah, I doubted I'll be able to relax here. Could I actually fall asleep like this? Figuring I had nothing to lose, I closed my eyes. No matter what I did, my mind refused to think of anything other than that corpse that had been massacred and crucified with stakes, as well as the gory picture Shogun had sent me. So I forcibly conjured Seiratan into my head. Positive delusion, let's go!
タッキー、外出嫌いなのに病院来るなんてすごい。私前から思ってたんだけどさ、タッキーって実はすごく強い男の子だよね。
Sarah animatedly moved about in my delusion. Her cute voice chirped for me.
私、そんなタッキーの強さが好き。それに、タッキーは無遊病なんかじゃないよ。私、毎日タッキーのこと見てるもん。だからわかるさ。三次元女になんか騙されちゃダメだぞ。タッキーには私がいるっしょ。またあのコンテナハウスで二人きりで過ごそうね。ボケナス。
Please, Seiratan, you're so cute, Seiratan. She really was my ideal waifu. There wasn't a single woman better than her. Nijigen, Senjigen. The fuck was that? I want to go home already. I want to go home and have Seiratan welcome me back with a smile. Wait for me, okay, Seiratan? I'll be coming home soon.
帰らなくてもいいよ。
どういうこと？
迎えに来たから。
An incredibly realistic whisper reached my ears. It felt almost like something was poking my cheek. I slowly opened my eyes.
おはよ、ボケナス。
Beside the bed stood Seiratan, pre-transformation Amanogawa Seira version. And she certainly wasn't at the 1/8 scale. She was life-size, and she was moving smoothly. With a gulp, I stand up and reached out to try and poke Seiratan's breasts. They were squishy, belonged to us. She's no figure. She's the real deal. Oh fuck.
のんのん、ここは二次元だよ。
Wait, it is? Even though they're so squishy?
二次元的にプニプニなんさ。
Wait. Something went wrong with my audio. Give me a second. Oh, it's my headphones. What happened? that later. I didn't get what she meant, but as long as they were squishy, it wasn't like anything else mattered. I realized I touched her breast out of sheer surprise, and I rapidly grew embarrassed. The life-size Serotan was insanely cute, so moe I could die. And most important of all, she was real. Thanks to that, the bashfulness that came from me touching her breast and the fear of her potentially hitting me for it had become much stronger.
ごめんセーラタン。
タッキーならいいよ。
本当？
他の人にはこんなことされるのは嫌だけどさ、特に進むとか、あいつに胸触られたら金棒で月までぶっ飛ばしちゃってる。静かに。声出すと看護師さんたちに見つかっちゃうっしょ。
Serotan must have been being mindful of the world outside the curtain. Without making a sound, she then took off her shoes and climbed onto the bed, and then on top of me. Almost saying something out loud again, I hurriedly covered my mouth. Serotan was straddling me. Her rare panties underneath her skirt was pressing against my crotch. This was bad. My Johnson was about to go berserk. We're good. Serotan drew her face close to mine. A sweet aroma filtered into my nose. So that was how Serotan smelled.
ねえねえ、タッキー。タッキーも二次元になっちゃうべきだよ。
What was that supposed to mean?
タッキーはまだ3次元なんさ。だから私が2次元にしてあげる。いいっしょ。
Can you really do that?
できるよ。それにすっごく気持ちいいよ。
I could hear the sound of nurses hurriedly walking about, as well as voices of doctors examining other patients. We were in a place separated by only a single curtain. If that curtain were open, we'd get found out for sure. That heart-pounding thought combined with the taboo nature of doing something like this in the hospital, I was getting lightheaded. And to think I was committing such obscene acts with my number one waifu. So this is what bliss is. All other thoughts had been pushed out of my mind, and so, in response to everything Serotan had said, I nodded.
そうこなくっちゃ。そんなタッキーが好き。
Then Serotan firmly pressed her lips against mine. It was soft. Was this the softness of 2D? Was it more soft than the real thing? The sudden borderline nation turned my thoughts into crisp spaghetti. I had no idea what the hell I should be doing. Then in the face of my bewilderment, Serotan pushed her tongue between my lips, encroaching upon my mouth. It felt so good. It started to feel dizzy. To think a kiss would feel this amazing. I wanted her seductive swirling tongue to violate my mouth forever. My arms wrapped around her waist. She was very thin, since she was 2D and all flat as a board. Flat as just as what anyway, and yet squishy and voluptuous at the same time. Wasn't this basically the same as kissing paper though? But it felt so incredibly good that I didn't care. Serotan was sexy. Serotan sucked in my tongue. It was too much. It felt like I was gonna die. It was starting to get painful now. Serotan's suction was frighteningly strong. I tried pulling my tongue back, but I couldn't. She just sucked it in even more. She was hard, so hard that it felt like it might rip off. It wasn't just my tongue. The inside of my throat felt hot. My eyes felt like they were going to pop out of the sockets. I couldn't breathe. My chest hurt. The inside of my stomach churned and churned, turning into a pulpy, spooping mess. I was being sucked in. Everything inside my body, my organs, my flesh, my bones, they were all being sucked in by Seiratan. I could feel my pounding heart rising up from my throat, the thick blood vessels tearing off one by one. It was an impossible sensation. It was incomprehensibly painful, and yet it felt even more pleasurable. My entire body had become an erogenous zone. Yes, my entire body. Not just the outside, but also the inside of my throat, my heart, my blood vessels, my lungs, my intestines. Having Seiratan violate the inside of my body, suck it all in, and devour it whole. It made me so happy, and that happiness and the sheer ecstasy I was feeling, it made me feel pain. I wasn't gonna die. It feels so good that I'm gonna die. After everything inside my body had been sucked out, Seiratan pulled her lips away, satisfied. Her mouth was dripping with a mix of blood and drool.
タッキーのすごく美味しかった。
She gave a bewitching smile. I didn't have the energy to respond. She had taken everything I had. It was the first time I'd ever experienced such an overwhelming pleasure. I was in a total haze. Fog enshrouded my consciousness, and my thoughts were a blur.
ほら、タッキー、自分の体見てみて。タッキーもこれで二次元の住人だよ。
Although I was very unsteady, I tried to get off the bed and stand up. My body had become thin, just like Seiratan's. It was kind of hard to walk around. My body felt limp, and I could hardly stand. I fell to my hands and knees, hitting the floor without sound. Seiratan, I can't get up. Give me a hand here. Her voice came from above the bed.
二次元へようこそ。
I sprang up only to find myself on the bed like before. My heart was pounding like crazy. My heart was still inside my chest where it should be. I touched every part of my body. It wasn't painted thin. I was still 3D. I couldn't see Seiratan anywhere, as it should be.
夢か。
But was that a good thing or a bad thing? I let out a sigh. That scene was just like the one in the dojin I brought from Circle Piporoporu. Wait, I'm thinking of a never mind. I'm gonna try to think of which reference is this. In other words, I'd had the delusion using it as a basis. Why hadn't I noticed that in my dream? Well, I knew that it was a dream because I hadn't noticed, but I couldn't help thinking that regardless.
西條さん。
A voice called to me from the other side of the curtain. The curtain quickly opened, and the nurse from before, Hazuki-san, popped her head inside the room.
おはようございます。
I bowed my head silently, keeping my eyes low.
結局3時間ぐっすりでしたね。
Huh? Had I really slept for 3 whole hours? I've been so lost in my dream that I completely lost all sense of time. Then again, I was pretty exhausted.
少しうなされていたみたいですけど、大丈夫？
Naturally, I couldn't mention my borderline wet dream straight to her face. Admitting to my maxed out libido stat would be pretty embarrassing.
でも、無遊病の症状は結局出ませんでしたよ。
Hazuki-san's reassuring voice conveyed that to me.
まあ、今日はたまたま症状が出なかっただけかもしれないから、無遊病でないっていう断定はできないですけど。
No, I really don't think I'm sleepwalkers, so... more importantly, I had to ask the doctor that really important question, but I couldn't see him anywhere. As I looked around, Hazuki-san handed me a blank form, not really focusing all that hard. I took it from her and ran my eyes over it. It was a fill-in-blank style form.
それはあなたの心理状態を把握するためのチェックシートです。心理テストのようなものね。それを書いてくれたら今日はもう帰っていいって先生が。
Wait, I need to check on something really quickly. Alright. Wait. Let me load up something really quickly. Let me answer this weird thing. Questionnaire. Oh man, I already been answering all questionnaires in work. Now I'm gonna do this in the game. Jesus Christ! All right, let's go. Let's do this.
先生は。
ごめんなさい。ずっと診察が続いてて。来週まで様子を見て、まだ改善が見られないようならもう一度来てくださいって。
Then again, it wasn't like he was my primary physician or anything. I suppose he probably just given Hazuki-san a bunch of directions to get me out of here. Well, guess that means there was pretty much no point to me coming to the hospital today. Really wanted to ask Dr. Takashina about the someone that wasn't me controlling me, whatever it meant. It was a really chilling symptom. So I didn't want to leave without getting an answer. That being said, I didn't have the courage to demand Hazuki-san to bring him back to see me, especially when she already looked so apologetic. Reluctantly, I decided to give the test a try. Guess I'll write about my sentence in the back of the sheet or something. If I did that, I should be able to get another examination scheduled for next week.
チェックシートは質問に対してイエスかノーかだけを答える簡単なものですから、当てはまる点があったらイエスにチェックしてくださいね。今後の西條さんの治療に対する参考にしますから、じっくり考えて答えてください。
Hazuki-san went out of her way to explain the procedure thoroughly. The test had some strange questions mixed in, one you wouldn't normally expect to run into at a hospital. It really did seem like some sort of psychological test. Would they really be able to actually learn something from questions like these? Hazuki-san stared at me intently. She showed no signs of leaving. But it wasn't like she had nothing else to do or anything. It was more like she was monitoring. No, watching over me or something. My nervousness as being watched made it hard for me to think clearly, but I guess she was just doing her job. Either way, I knew I ought to fill out the test quickly. Yep. 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 No. Yeah, I guess. By the way, this is not my actual answers. I mean, me, the player. I'm answering as if I'm Takumi. What the hell is uninterrupted imaging? Whatever. Yep. Yep. No. No. Yep. Wait, let me. Yep. No. No. Yep. 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 No. Yeah. Okay. Nozumi.
はい、お疲れ様でした。
Hazuki-san thanked me as I answered the final question, despite the fact that I hadn't said anything. I felt pretty embarrassed at being watched the whole time. My face was probably bright red. Because of that, I avoided looking at Hazuki-san when I handed her the test. There had been no time to write the sentence on the back.
それでは、待合室でお待ちください。お薬が出てますから。
薬
They were prescribing me something? Dr. Takashina never said anything about that.
ええ、先生の指示で。弱い精神安定剤です。ぐっすり眠れるようになるし、副作用などもありませんよ。
Oh, wow. Thoughtful as ever, Dr. Takashina. And yet, when I realized I had to wait wait in that lobby again, my mood was immediately sent spiraling. By the time I got back to Shibuya, it was already evening. The hospital was technically in Shibuya Ward, but since Yoyogi was the closest station to it, commuting via train was the fastest. Sorry, I had a flashback when I actually walked all the way from Shibuya, from Yoyogi Park, from Takeshita Street all the way to Shibuya Station. That was a really long walk. Anyway, that was a really random. And that was a good memory. Anyway. But the Yamanote line had been crowded as ever, despite only being 2 stops long. The trip back still made me feel incredibly tired. Riding the train any further would have been a pain in the ass, so I decided to get out of Shibuya Station and make my way back to the base from there. Even then, there were still tons of people outside the station. I despised crowd. They made my head spin. Not wanting to stay much longer, I tried to speed walk out of the scramble crossing. But even walking straight was nigh impossible. Stumbling even slightly caused people from both behind and in front to bump into me. Once more, a bunch of people handing out pocket tissues packs blocked the way, practically forcing everyone who passed by to take them. Fed up with everything, I ignored the first person handing them out, but took some off the second because at least she was a cute girl. I'm so sick and tired of these people handing out tissue packs and shit to push their products. Didn't they have anything better to do than stand right in the middle of the road? Well, to be fair, these people are still being paid, so if you were being paid, like, just to hand out tissues, you know. I mean, these people, you know, they're being paid, so. And they thought that was worth their time, just to explain what the hell they were doing there. Anyway, let's continue reading. Well, whatever, it was free, so might as well take it. Inside the tissue bag I took was a red flyer, and there was a paragraph's word of shit written on top of it with white ink. Talk about ostentatious. Like, holy shit! You couldn't exactly miss something with that color scheme. As I walked along, I gave it a quick skim. It was a blood donation flyer. As I read it, I thought back to the form I filled out in the hospital. Let me actually read this for Type B blood is in short supply. Currently, Shibuya Ward is suffering from a severely short supply of Type B. This only continue to worsen, and we've been struggling to secure proper quantities of blood for those in need transfusions. The worst case scenario, they led to deaths of many. Without your cooperation, lives may be lost. Please consider becoming a blood donor. Visit the donation. Blah blah blah. Okay, got it. All right, let's continue reading the actual visual novel. I didn't have any memory of filling out something like that 4 years ago. Maybe the way they examine patients had changed recently. Even then, though, something felt oddly familiar about the tests. Deja vu. I've been getting hit by it all the time recently. Having my mind and body not functioning the way I wanted them to. sense of dissonance was an incredibly uncomfortable feeling. So in order to ascertain the true cause behind the deja vu, I tried flipping back through the pages of my memories. I thought back to when Mom had taken me to the hospital about once a week. I'd kept my mouth shut at all times and only expressed myself by nodding or shaking my head. At first, I'd been taken to a perfectly ordinary examination room, but since I showed no signs of improvement, I started going to a different room before long. The room had essentially been a counseling room, which meant it put the patient's relaxation first and foremost. In other words, there were sofas and plushies and whatnot located all throughout the room. Dr. Takashina had taken a very patient approach to treating me, all while refusing to blame my situation on anyone. He alone caught on how I was merely choosing not to speak, rather than having the inability to do so. Meanwhile, my mom would always talk to me in an unnaturally cheery voice. Every time I'd gone to the hospital, the doctor would always welcome me with a refreshing smile, and the nurses also treated me with all the love and care they could, and I had a feeling that there had always been one more person in the room. Yeah, isn't it kind of weird that there is a guy wearing the suit in black on your examination? Isn't that super weird? The fuck? Like, I mean, okay, so I already know what the fuck that was about, but you know, if it's your first time like going through like this visual novel, I mean the story. It's literally my first time going through this visual novel, but it wasn't my first time going through the story of this story. So it's like, you know, it's really really suspicious and all. Anyway. Right. There had been a man in black suit, one that felt fairly out of place in the hospital. And I'd been doing my best not to speak. I never asked about him. I didn't know who the hell he was the entire time he was there. He didn't feel like a doctor, and he always stood alone and a fair distance away from everyone else, all while gazing out the window. I dubbed him Mr. Nozomi in my head, though that wasn't his actual name or anything.
のぞみ
The man in the suit always had a badge on his chest, no matter the situation. And on top of that, the badge was the word Nozomi. It looked like a logo to me though, so it probably wasn't a name tag. Oh, I knew why it was bothering me now. That test from before also had the Nozomi logo printed on it. I had a hunch I'd seen it somewhere before, and now I finally remember exactly where. It was like a huge weight that had been lifted off my chest. That aside, what was Nozomi anyway? I was pretty sure it was the name of a business.
のぞみさんっていう美人女社長が設立したカウンターテロ組織とか漫画みたいだ
I'm pretty sure it was a dude. Spoilers. Oh, wait, sorry. When I arrived at my base, I gone straight to look up Nozomi online. However, there were so many results that I couldn't manage to pin down anything specific. Well, let's go with a more normal theory first. The Nozomi guy could have been from the company that made the tests, and he was just at the hospital in order to sell them or something. The hospital had then adopted the test recently, and they decided to have me fill out one today. Nah, I doubted that. I never heard of some rando attending a patient's examination like that. So, who the hell was that Mr. Nozomi guy? Memories kept pulling at my mind, but I was fed up with it at that point. Either way, the reason behind my deja vu was not clear. I decided I'd ask Dr. Takashina about my memory issues next week, but until then, I was gonna stay cooped up in my room without bothering his school. There was no way in hell I'll go to school where people were trying to hurt me. And in all honesty, I don't want to screw up the minimum attendance chart I'd so carefully constructed, but it wasn't worth getting myself killed over. I gave up on my Nozomi search and went on to look for any interesting looking threads at Ad Channel. The news board was completely filled with new gen threads. Even the ESO board had threads like, let's try and replicate new gen crimes in ESO. And to be honest, I was beyond sick and tired of the whole thing. Diving back into ESO, I found Grim. You never see Grim's avatar, right? You never see Grim's avatar. The Ad Channel news board is super fucking boring recently. They really won't shut the fuck up about New Gen. Well, it is the biggest thing of note recently. Whenever a new incident like this happens, people always freak the fuck out about it and shitstorm incarnate, lol. They haven't caught the culprit? I mean, you and I both know the police are incompetent, lol. There's tons of idiot all over the web painting the culprit as some moe hot chick. Hazuki-san is really having having a good twist here. Is really having a she's you know, since I know the story, since I already know who's the new gen culprit, which is basically Grim, which is basically this Hazuki-san, so which is Hazuki-san, so this is like her giving herself like a that demon girl. The desolate eyes of the girl I'd seen at the crucifixion murder scene flashed through my mind, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. As much as I didn't want to remember, the ghastly memory would come back at any time I let my guard down. Wait, I've seen the culprit's face. I knew who they were. Should I report it to the police? But I didn't want to get involved. Demon girl? Is there already an offshoot of a part like that? That might be taking it a bit too far, to be honest. Anyway, these new gen cases are seriously interesting, dude. I've joined the Free Para new gen community. You're getting way too into this. Everyone you and Sisen from our guild had joined. Oh god. Was he serious? Now I won't be able to hop on and chat with my guild anymore. New gen is some weird shit, man. Gives me the chills. I knew you were into gory stuff, Grim, but don't tell you're the type that looks for artistic merit in murder cases. True, the crucifixion course could have easily been mistaken for modern art, so it would be fair to say that it was artistic in some sense. Nah, the only thing you should be seeking here is how low it is. It is the ultimate form of BDSM. This guy's hopeless. I'd better do something quick. You'll get it once you leave behind your virginhood, 910. You lowly bastard. Are you saying you're not a virgin? Hmm. Because because we know we know who the killer is. So yeah, she's not. Especially one of her crimes involve her, you know. You damn traitor. Back in the topic though. The site pulling all the information together is filled to the brim, so you really ought to take a look. I really didn't want to look. I was scared too. I wanted to escape reality in which I witnessed the scene of crime. That's why I've been intently avoiding all information related to the new gen ever since then. I wanted to fool myself into believing that gruesome scene had seen had been just a delusion, but I was basically a god in ESO. Not just someone strong, but someone who knew all. Not to mention, I was the guild leader. It would be beyond embarrassing if the organizer of the group couldn't keep up with the latest topics. I had to make sure that didn't happen. I clicked the link to the site Grim had sent me. The top of the site had the title All Things New Gen written in big letters right in the center of the page. This type of website was basically like a wiki. It was open to the public, and anyone could enter info related to a particular topic. In the case of the New Gen site, loads of people entered new info concerning New Gen. The site updated as they did. Sites like this tended to suffer from unreliable info being mixed in, as well as its fair share of vandalism from trolls. But they could still be pretty useful for getting a quick overview of an incident. Many links were pasted all over the page. I promptly clicked on the link that read current timeline. My heart raced. Just reading the site was making me nervous. My palms were slick with sweat. The first incident the group died was the suicide of 5 high schoolers that had jumped to their deaths. It happened the dead of night of September 7th, which was about a month ago at this point. The building they jumped on was the Cornelius building tower, which was located in Shibuya. They dove off the rooftop helipad. Of course, all 5 had died instantly. Just so you know, it's the Spiral Matai event. It's a Spiral Matai. That's a good one. According to the autopsies, all the 5 all had torn pieces of flesh under their fingernails, along with various scratch marks on their hands. Based on that, it was surmised that 5 had been holding hands as they jumped, for one reason or another. There was no suicide note of any form on the rooftop. A person online, one of those acting like Snake, those people acting like Snake, had actually gone to the Cornelius Tower themselves and reported that the door to the rooftop had a sign on it saying, "No entry to unauthorized personnel," and that it was practically locked. It was locked practically 24/7. Naturally, the door had been locked at the time of the incident, and the key was not found among the belongings of the deceased. Essentially, the rooftop helipad had been effectively been a lock room, and the method of the 5 that had used to enter was completely unknown. Battler, now's your time. Lock rooms and no, actually, it's Beatrice's, because she's a game master that specializes in locked room mysteries. Anyway, there was a very high chance that someone other than the 5 had been present at the scene of the incident. The second incident, dubbed the Man-Child murder case, and occurred 12 days after the first incident, placing it on on September 19th. Oh, I randomly remembered there was a lot of contention on translation, whether they should use Fragment Man or Man-Child. Wait a second, I thought I'm using the right give me a second. I'll be right back. I need to check something. Okay. Okay. I see. Okay, the translation. Yeah, this is the correct. I have the correct translation. I mean, I have the patch installed. Whether it was correct is a matter of perspective of someone who was like um I don't know. The justification regarding it was, I think, well, I don't know Japanese, but it felt reasonable enough for me, you know. But you know, I'll just accept that for now. Although maybe once I picked up on my Japanese skills, I might make an effort to actually read this in Japanese. But for now, I'll just continue with this. Let's continue. I don't want to get too caught up with the translation. It's not the kind of translation that will completely change my complete understanding, but I might miss out on a couple of nuances or whatever, but I don't think the story beats will complete drastically change to the point that the story is very basically different. Too different, I mean. Anyway, let's continue. The second incident of the man-child murder case had occurred 12 days after the first incident, placing it on September 19th. Early in the morning, a university student on their way home from a karaoke session had discovered a collapsed man covered in blood by the Shibuya Station underpass. The victim had been a university student residing in Shibuya Ward, a 21-year-old named Kozue Chizuo. He was already dead when he was found, but his abdomen had an unnatural, very large swelling. According to the autopsy, someone had performed an abdominal incision on the man and stuffed a newly born fetus inside the man's stomach, then stitched it back up. Moreover, a DNA confirmed that the fetus had no blood relation to the victim. The victim was a bachelor and had no relations with any women. It was only online speculation, but it was assumed the 32-week-old fetus had been removed from its mother's body via C-section. However, the mother's identity, current whereabouts, and even whether or not she was alive was completely unknown. It was possible that the police already discovered her whereabouts, but if they had, nothing had been publicly revealed. I averted my eyes from the monitor to keep myself from throwing up. Jesus Christ. Talk about nauseating. The culprit was completely insane. And maybe, just maybe, these ghastly murders had been carried out by that girl. Japan is over. I stared at Saratan in an attempt to bleach my eyes. And with that, I somehow managed to stabilize my mental state. I considered taking the meds. Bro, take your meds. The meds that doctor given me. But Saratan did the job nonetheless. Anyway, while that might have been necessary to maintain Nineheart's honor, reading all that gory stuff really fucking sucked. Nice. We're having a schizo episode.
そんなに辛いならさ、読まなくていいって。タッキーがド M ってんなら別に止めないけど、辛そうなタッキーは見てられないさ。
By the way, why is Saratan always hard? What the fuck?
もうやめよ。楽しいことだけしてようよ。いつもみたく私にハーハーしてもいいからさ。
Oh, how wonderful and caring you are, Saratan. Saratan was the only one who would stay by my side. I couldn't ask for a better waifu. I rested my chin on my hands above the table, watching Saratan smile as I took deep breaths. My soul had been healed. I might be able to get through a little more if I keep glancing at her as I read. And so, I decided to put that into practice right away. Come to think of it, why had those two unrelated cases both have been slapped with the new gen label? Apparently, the group dive had been initially treated as a group suicide. But after the Manchild incident had occurred, people online reinvestigated it and discovered the unnatural circumstances surrounding the scene of the crime. Rumors then began to appear, saying that the five may have actually been killed and that the suicide label was merely a cover up. According to the parents and good friends of the five victims, there was no way it could have been a suicide. Then, the mass media had started making connections between the two incidents, starting with where they occurred, Shibuya. Madness explodes in today's youth, the new generation madness. Sensationalist headlines like that started popping up everywhere, to my understanding anyway. Then came the third case, the murder case I'd witnessed, dubbed the Crucifixion. The site didn't have as much info on this case, likely due to it having only occurred recently. The victim, 56-year-old Otahi Hisashi, was a university professor who had been crucified with stakes to the concrete wall of a vacant house. That was all that had been publicly revealed. Many of the neighboring residents had claimed that for over an hour after the time of the crime was thought that have occurred around 8 p.m. They could hear the sound of nails being hammered into something. Even I heard the sound. I could hear it even now. A horrible, terrifying sound. On a related note, no connection between the third case and the group dive, or the Manchild had been discovered yet. But with it being the third abnormal incident to happen in quick succession in Shibuya, the crucifixion was naturally treated as another new gen incident. The police and mass media believed that all the crimes had different culprits, but the predominant opinion online, or rather, what was the net hope was going on, was that the crimes either shared a single culprit or an organized group of culprits. There was also many occult-based theories whispered about online, such as everything had begun with the earthquake from 2 months ago. 2 months ago, an earthquake with a seismic intensity of 3 occurred with Shibuya as an epicenter. Although the scale was fairly minor, there were still 8 fatalities, which became a popular topic of discussion. Come to think of it, it was true the new gen cases had begun after that earthquake. Because of that, the new gen occultists occurred that the 8 deaths in the earthquake should be counted as the first new gen case, causing a dispute between them and the new gen mainstreamers. Regardless, the entire situation was abnormal. After all, despite the fact that 3 brutal cases had occurred in quick succession, no clues on any of their culprits had been found, and many online were waiting eagerly for the 4th case. If I wasn't directly connected to all of it, I probably would have joined in on the chaos myself, posted in a few threads, made theories. I could have been waiting excitedly for the 4th incident at this very moment. Damn it. All these assholes were just having the time of their lives, weren't they?
犯人を早く捕まえてくれよ。
A week had passed since the crucifixion, but neither the demon girl nor the police had made any moves. If they knew I had been at the scene of the crime, they would definitely come and question me about it, but there hadn't been any signs of that actually happening. Thank God. It looked like I wasn't going to get dragged into this after all.
あなたには予知能力がありますか？
That claim that you had trusted at me flashed into my mind.
予知能力があるって思わなきゃ納得できないような画像データをあなたが持っていたから。
Even though I'd finally started to relax, that feeling of despair came flying right back in an instant. The image sent by Shogun. The data was still on my PC. US claims were no more than delusions she dreamt up. Her deductions were a total stretch, not to mention logically bankrupt. Well, I may have ended up not asking about it in the hospital today. The idea of me doing things without remembering them was completely absurd, utterly impossible. I mean, nothing like that had ever occurred to me before. So the gory image was obviously faked.
だったらさ、合成だって証拠を見つけちゃえばいいさ。あの画像解析しちゃおうよ。
But it's so disgusting. I really don't want to look at him any more than I already have.
あの女を論破しちゃえば、タッキーはもう怯えることなく平穏な生活に戻れるんだよ。やるしかないっしょ。
Of course, she was exactly right. You had talked to me as if I were the culprit behind the crucifixion, but that wasn't true at all. I mean, I've seen the culprit's face, as if I let you have put the blame on me after that. So with a gulp, I double-clicked on the folder where the images were cached. It was the first time in 3 days that the Ban Yasuji had set foot in Shibuya police station conference room. The investigation meeting for the Murayama-cho crucifixion homicide case had already begun, and Ban was greeted with the universal gazes of displeasure for his tardiness. Ban forced a polite smile before venting down to sit. He supposed that it was not quite the right time to reveal that he had cooped up in the bat room with diarrhea. The Murayama-cho crucifixion homicide case had been assigned to the Shibuya police station the morning after the incident. Yet, as they were lacking in manpower due to the Cornelius Tower mass suicide case and the Shibuya station undergrad and fetus homicide case, even the third-rate Assistant Inspector Ban, whom the Metropolitan Police Department's investigation division was practically begging to retire, had been called in by the main office. Moreover, as all the incidents had occurred within the Shibuya's police station jurisdiction, it was an unusual situation in which a single jurisdictional station was utilizing 3 special investigation teams. Because of this, operations were made quite difficult, with the 3 investigation teams having access to only one large conference room they had to alternate between. The mass media was hailing it all as one large case known as New Gen, and there were rumors the police would combine the 3 investigation teams in order to make the New Gen Investigation Division, thus solving the issue of manpower. All the detectives found the prospect completely asinine, regarding it as nothing more than an absolute joke.
警部補、君の報告を。
Ban's superior, Inspector Matsunaga, who was in charge of the investigation team, called out to Ban with a piercing gaze. But Ban did not notice. He simply continued to cool himself down with a handheld fan as he took a moment to recuperate.
警部補、バン警部補、聞いているのか？
呼ばれてるっすよ。バンさんの報告待ちなんすから。ちょっと。
The whispers of Ban's partner, a rookie named Suwa, finally got him to realize he was being called.
すんません。報告は諏訪から。
自分っすか？
俺がいなくても報告しとけって言っといたろうが。早くしろ。
Suwa sighed as his superior jabbed him in the elbow, then stood up straight and tall.
犯行現場近くの監視カメラの解析がようやく出たっす。出ました。犯行時間に不審な人物が映ってました。
Murmurs echoed throughout the conference room. The relaxed atmosphere from before had been turned on its head. The other detectives began to take frantic notes in order not to miss a single word of Suwa's report. Considering the situation, it was no surprise they were so frantic about it. After all, 3 horrific cases had occurred within their jurisdiction in the span of a single month, only one of which was not ruled as a homicide as of yet. Their strong determination to find the culprit, even in the face of their reputations, was only natural.
プロジェクターに映像を出します。
As per instructions Ban had given him in advance, Suwa had the projector display the footage on the projector screen. The projector showed in an image of a confined, faulty back alley at the Murayama-cho. It was night, and there were very few street lights present, so virtually nothing was visible.
犯行現場から約50メートル離れたところにあるコインパーキングの監視カメラです。
The parking lot was only big enough to fit 2 vehicles. It was a tiny plot of land interposed between 2 buildings. It was constructed without any real care as well. The scene of the crime was not visible in the footage. Not even the path leading it could be seen. All it displayed was the road that was one further away from the crime scene. The video had no sound. The time that the video had been recorded was graciously displayed on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. 9:34 p.m. Oh, it's 11:46 p.m. in real life. Anyway.
犯行現場近隣の住民の証言により、21時過ぎから21時半頃まで釘を打ちつける音がしていたというのはご承知の通りだと思いますが、この映像は21時34分、つまりまさに犯行時間直後ということになります。不審人物が映っているのは21時34分53秒からおよそ6秒間です。駐車場の前の道を奥から手前へと走り抜けていきます。
Immediately following Suwa's explanation, a silhouette appeared on the footage. They seemed to be in a great hurry and ran from the back of the screen to the front. As their resolution was quite pure, not even their gender could be ascertained at a glance. But Ban had already gotten the crime laboratory to analyze it at that very point.
科捜研で解析した結果、映っている人物は男。年齢は10代後半から20代とのことっす。です。人相の判別までは無理でした。服装がかなり特徴的ですが、これは小島にある私立水明学園の男子制服と分かりました。それと右手に注目してもらいたいんですが、
The image enlarged on the right hand of the suspicious individual. It appeared to be grasping something.
スローで再生するとわかるが、走りながら腕を振っている際、この握りしめている何かが駐車場の照明に反射して光を放ってるんだな、これが。
Now, at the good part, Ban took over Suwa's explanation.
形状からして犯行に使われた十字架型の杭である可能性がある。
The detectives continued to murmur noiselessly. The crucifixion culprit may be a high schooler. The proposition was fairly shocking to them. After all, it meant that the new generation madness moniker that the mass media had been pushing could actually become a reality.
最も犯人に近い人物がこの少年だということか。
そういうことになりますね。
Ban stroked the stubble on his jaw. It was a habit of his. Whenever he felt one step closer to cornering a culprit, he would always reach for the satisfying scraping sensation.
以上です。
Suwa took a deep breath and sat down.
ひどいっすよ先輩。美味しいところ持ってって。
Ignoring Suwa's grumbling, Ban once again burned the image of the high school boy into his mind.
ようやく尻尾を出したんだ。そいつを掴んで離さねえようにしないとな。
Miku. What the fuck? Literally a folder called Internet Cache? What the fuck? Well, to be fair, in Windows it's called the temporary folder. Back in the day, I don't even know if they still do it nowadays. I haven't checked my temporary folder in ages, but anyway, sure enough, the image Shogun had sent was in my cache folder. 168491 JPEG was its name. Obviously, a part of me was still hesitant to even look at it. I mean, it was a pretty fucking nasty image. Grotesque as all hell, too. I was sure just looking at it would throw me right back to the scene of the crucifixion, where that violent scene had taken place right in front of me. But even then, I needed to expose US flawed logic, and therefore guarantee my own safety and innocence. Thankfully, Seiratan was there for me. I could handle a little bit of gore. Mustering all the courage I had, I double-clicked the file. It was so gory, but compared to the crucifixion scene I seen in person, it wasn't quite as bad. Telling myself that the image had to be a fake, I was barely able to stomach it. When I first received the image, I closed it immediately after looking at it once. I hadn't inspected it thoroughly. At the time, holding back the urge to vomit, I decided to examine the image in excruciating detail. I didn't know much about how to tell whether a picture was fake or not. Bro, look, the pixels. The pixels. There's a way to analyze that shit. You haven't I thought you were in the internet for so long. Anyway. No, there's a way to do it based on the histogram thing. Oh, I used to do that, but I haven't done it in ages. Anyway. But taking a look at the shadows, seeing if there was anything off about the surrounding area and other stuff like that should probably be enough. The only possibility I had in mind was that the photo had been taken in advance, and the crucifixion corpse had been put on top of it using CGI. And then the day after Shogun had sent the picture to me, they executed the crime exactly as they edited in the image. Thanks to the poor resolution and how dark that image was, I could only really see the stakes, leaving the identity of the victim unclear. Lighting was the only hitting the area surrounding the corpse, yet something about the image was just begging for me to look at the crucifixion itself. I felt like that was the intent of the person who made it. I mean, come on. Focusing that much light around the corpse was kind of overkill, don't you think? Well, it wasn't like I've been paying close attention to the actual crime scene, so I couldn't really jump into conclusions. In the picture, the demon girl wasn't standing in front of the crucified corpse. But when I opened my eyes wide and looked even closer, I noticed a silhouette in the dark spot on the left side of the image. I'd almost completely missed it. Due to the low res of the image, the shadow the figure stood in blended perfectly into the surrounding scenery. You could easily miss it if you weren't paying close attention. Obviously, the image was fake, but what if the person taking the photo had accidentally let themselves in it? If they had, it was possible that they forgot to edit themselves out when they tampered with the image. It looked like they were wearing a Sume uniform. In that case, it had to be the demon girl. She had been wearing one at the time of the crime after all. Wait, give me a second. Let me fix something. When I took a close closer look, I noticed the figure's hair was actually pretty short. Wait, give me a second. I need to fix something. Okay, I think that should be good. The demon girl had long hair like Yua. Alright, then. Time for some computer magic. I needed the details here. I opened up some image processing software and dragged the image in. Then with a big gulp, I selected the levels option in the adjustment menu. Brighten the once darkened corners of the image. That's literally him. What the hell? Pictured on the screen was unmistakably
Okuda.
How was it me? It didn't make any sense. I never even been there before September 29. It was fake. It had to be fake. I couldn't find a bit proof that it was, but it absolutely had to be. It made sense otherwise. I mean, Shogun had sent the image on 28th, and the crucifixion murder case had occurred on the 29th. The image was what happened on the 29th? That would mean it was a picture taken from the future.
あなたには予知能力がありますか？
うるさい、そんなはずはないんだ。
I kicked the plastic bottle at my feet and closed the paint program. I checked the file's properties to see when it was made, and then I lost all words. The timestamp was 28, but that was the least of my worries now. In the comment section of the properties menu was a single inconspicuous sentence, a sentence my eyes couldn't look away from. Whose eyes are those eyes? I slammed my hands on the keyboard before shoving it to the edge of my desk. I clutched my head.
セーラ助けて。
I could barely hold back my tears. What the hell had I done to deserve a whole week of nothing but more and more insane bullshit? Was I the only one that had to deal with this shit? Hang on a second. If they had somehow managed to get a photo of me and they edited it into the image of the crime scene, that would either mean Shogun had taken a photo of me without my consent, or that he had somehow obtained my photo from another source. And considering how he entered the chat room and started talking to me right after Grin had left, he had likely been aiming for me and me alone from the very start. Shogun might very well have discovered my real identity. And that was true. Then Shogun, the demon girl, anyone could raid my base at any moment. Then I'd be abducted. I felt the chill on the nape of my neck. It was the gaze again. There was something there, watching me. Don't look at me. Did you really think I'd turn around? I knew the rules of the game better than anyone. They'll take more than that to make me turn around, game. Fear sent goosebumps all over my body, and I felt a strong urge to check the door was locked. But instead of doing that, I just continued to stare at my monitor, as I was way too stubborn to let myself loose. Unable to calm down, I opened my default word processor and wrote down everything on my mind. As I stared fearfully at the word demon, I began to wonder if the girl at the crime scene was actually a real demon. I mean, Come on. She couldn't be a human by any means. If she was a demon, she might actually be able to see the future. And if she could see the future, projecting a scene from the future onto a picture via psychic photography would be child's play. It will line up perfectly with how she managed to carry out the gruesome crucifixion all on her own. She then got in her underling Shogun to send that image to me. A person who she knew would end up accidentally witnessing the crime scene. I don't know. I didn't know why she'd done that. Maybe it was a threat. This will be you next time you tell anyone what you saw. Or maybe it was a death sentence. You're next. And if that really was what it meant, then
勝てるわけがない。僕は奴らにいつ殺されてもおかしくないんだ。
is that some sort of fake Avril Lavigne? What? The late 2000s. That was a different time. All right, let's continue reading. I was like, I was distracted by the poster. Sunoki Yua faced the PC in her room, her profile gravely serious. She swiftly read through the information displayed on the monitor. For long, Yua let out a small sigh and released her hand from the mouse, glancing at a piece of paper sitting within reach of her. It was the very same paper she had put before Nishijo Takumi the day before to print out the chat log between Nineheart and Shogun.
西条くん
Yua muttered a single name. The view of Takumi sitting alone on that Shoto Park bench appeared in her mind, before she quickly shook her head to drown it out. Suddenly, she looked behind herself in surprise.
今誰かに見られていたような
Oh no, 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 no. Her gaze stopped upon a large stuffed Garofragian shrine on her bed. Wondering if it had just been her imagination, she tilted her head in puzzlement. Then she slowly rose to her feet, walked over to her bed, and fell on it head first. The sheets smell of the sun, so it smelled bad. Body odor. Sorry, that's how I interpret the smell of the sun, by the way. At least there was a... That's how... Okay, I don't know the Japanese meaning of the smell of the sun. But in my culture, it basically meant you smell like BO. Anyway. It seemed that her mother had kindly dried the futon earlier today. Oh, she sleeps in a futon instead of a bed. I thought she slept on the bed. What the fuck? Anyway, Yuma buried her face in that relieving scent, her gaze wandering about vacantly. Her room was very neat and orderly, placing her meticulous personality on full display. This especially applied to her large bookshelf, which was rather incongruous for a room size at around 13 square meters. It was packed tightly with countless books, leaving hardly any gaps. However, charmingly, the lower half consisted of nothing but complex academic books, computing-related books. Oh, nice, she's a hacker man. Anyway, and other similar material contrasting greatly with the upper half, which was filled with shoujo manga and anime DVDs. Oh, by the way, when you read that line, you'll be like, "Oh wow, she wasn't faking that she was into she was an otaku herself." Otaku. With another sigh, Yua turned her body face up and stared at the ceiling, which I'm doing as well right now.
DID。
Oh no. DID. What the fuck? Wait, that was the wrong that was the wrong that was the wrong OST. Uh this is the OST for like DID. This is the ultimate DID OST, by the way. I'm having DID right now. By the way, I know it's a real disorder, but right now we're reading a visual novel, and the first thing that comes into my mind is this. I mean, sure, KSN is way older, but my brain is associating DID with this, man. Jesus. Anyway, let's continue reading. I'm having fun with this. She muttered the name of the mental illness she had just been researching. Wait a second. Why is she self-diagnosing Takumi to have DID? Maybe she's also because of the earlier scene. Well, you know, Takumi was having a lot of delusions. So this music is so perfect. It's literally our Seisha. Wait, let's continue. Let's continue with KSN. Noah. I should stop thinking about Suwahimi. It's all because I got an art book from it today, and I was like thinking about it so much. Alright, let's continue. That's really wasting your time. She muttered the name of the mental illness she had just been researching. An explanation related to it was displayed onto her monitor.
辛いんですね。
Yua hugged the stuffed Garo Froggy by her pillow tightly as she thought about Takumi.
でも、私、
However, her expression soon vanished, replaced only by the gritting of her teeth. I wonder, well, if you went through this story blindly, and I really like that Miku.jpg. If you went through this story blindly, and you know, the intention is that you had like you had a bad impression of Yua, and then you had that scene, and you think to yourself, oh, she wasn't lying. She was into you know, otaku stuff, and she was thinking about him, and she thought about him in oh, maybe he was only having DID and all that, you know, but you know, you wouldn't know her full set of motivations at that point. But her gritting her teeth was like, you know, should sound some alarm bells, like there was something else going on. But anyway, let's continue. I was only just like curious about like what's the mindset you should have when you're going through the story for the first time. But you know, because I already went through the anime. That kind of killed it a lot for me. Maybe question mark? I don't know. Anyway, let's continue. It hurt to breathe. All I was doing was looking things up on my PC. Yet it hurt to breathe. I could feel my heart pounding harder than it ever had before. And of course, the feeling that something was watching me would not go away. I was still barely keeping myself from turning around. But I knew I couldn't do it for much longer. I cried out angrily at whatever it was. Surely it wasn't the demon girl, right? Oh God, what if it was? She could be using second light or clairvoyance or some other demon power to spy on me. The chills on the back of my neck were gradually growing stronger, to the point where they were getting slightly painful, like jolts of electricity coursing through my body. I was covered from head to toe in sweat. The front of my t-shirt was completely soaked. Unable to take it any longer, I whipped around in my chair as forcefully as I could, and yet all I saw was my room, in the same condition as always. I didn't see a single thing that shouldn't have been there. With a yell that was closer to a shriek than anything, I burst up from my chair and went to make sure the door was locked, and to much of my relief it was. I wiped away the sweat on my forehead with my sleeve. Saber. Saber. I know the original one had Arc Raid. Why did they remove Arc Raid? Why did they have to remove... Oh, because Fate is much more popular. Oh, sure. Anyway. Returning to my PC, I focused on the monitor once more. It was still displaying what I had been researching earlier. Precognition. When I was a kid, I truly believed that precognition existed, that psychics existed, and if I was being completely honest, I still did to a degree. That was why my first thought had been that image for Shogun, and the demon girl was a precognitive photograph, a thought which only drove me to look into it all the more. What if, maybe, just maybe, there were tons of psychics all over the world, and I just didn't know. Back when I was a kid, when this bus accident happened, I managed something that had been pretty close to precognition. For that reason, I couldn't completely rule out its existence. But no matter how much I searched, all I could find was extremely dubious articles about the occult, voodoo shit, or whatever else. There was absolutely nothing to prove scientifically whether it existed or not.
一つぐらいあってもいいだろう。
Growing increasingly frustrated, I violently tapped away at the keyboard. I couldn't deal with how anxious not having a concrete answer made me. Was the world really telling me to give up? To wait here, trembling in fear of the demons that might or might not come? I couldn't stay sane like that. Of course, I would vastly prepared to learn that precognition didn't exist. But regardless of what truth was, I needed to know it badly. Pretty much out of options, I decided to take a look at that channel's occult board, also known as X. The place was typically home to nothing but total BS noise, lies, and misinformation mainly. Oh, come to think of it, when was the last time we went to X? I think we went to X like back in... I think the last time I ever went to X was like 2013. Oh God, it's been almost 11 years. Well, I have no reason to go visit it right now. It was fun scaring myself back then, I guess. Anyway, but it actually had some pretty mind-blowing and even useful information scattered on it sometimes. Finding back how frantic I was, I opened up Ad Channel, and I clicked on the occult board and gave precognition a search. When I did... My search pulled up a surprising number of threads, about 30 of them. Was precognition a hot topic on Ad Channel at the moment? With a gulp, I checked the thread titles one by one.
ファンタズム FES?
Phantasm. Most of the threads contain those two keywords. In addition, the new gen discussion that also wormed its way in, with a lot of unsettling terms like prophetic lyrics and murderer being used. Having never heard of Phantasm before, I went to Google them. They're actually straight up using the word Google. Anyway, well, this is the Phantom upgrade. Anyway, apparently they were a Shibuya-based four-piece gothic punk band that had been doing live concerts recently. Wait, sorry. That was a little distracted by something. They were so popular, in fact, that they were completely dominating the indie music scene, with a female vocalist known as Fez. Persona Fez. anyway, to check whether it was related to Precognition or not, I clicked on the thread at the top title, Precognition and Prophecies, Phantasm General, New Gen, 43, and gave the contents a brief skim. By the way, I'm actually surprised that how they title their threads is, I guess, 4chan had naturally followed the same convention that was happening in 2chan. Because I can imagine this is how they titled the threads in 2chan, so naturally the convention would be the same. Anyway, let me read this. Calm your tits, everyone. But yeah, let's all go to the concert Sunday. This will enjoy Fest-sama's Black Mass without any of it go to waste. Miss out and you'll be getting the crucifixion treatment, Lama Foul. I read the lyrics, but it feels like a stretch. The phrasing is vague as shit. There's no way any are actual prophecies. If I'm wrong, though, have mercy on me, crucifixion killer. Lol. Calling the precognition a prophecy or whatever the fuck it is, taking it way too far, Lamau. This isn't Nostradamus. So, how about we just sit back and enjoy the music for what it is? Fest's stuff ain't bad lyrically, but I definitely can feel the new generation connection, to be honest. Everyone always talks about Fez. Rip the composer, Rio. Poor guy's getting no credit. Festan, huff, huff. Festan's lyrics force me to find the meaning of life. It's a trap. Festars are total shitters, Lamau. Sorry, I got distracted by Sage. Because you used to fill out Sage as to make sure the thread doesn't go on top of like the board. I don't know if that's how it also goes in 2chan. 2channel. Well, to be honest, I want to be insulted by Fessama in the chill voice of hers while she grinds her boots into my ass over and over until it feels like my eyes are gonna fall out of their sockets. It would feel so intoxicating to stop on the edge right at the last moment, and so erotic. As I wonder if she'll spit on my face or not. Sorry, the word erotic just reminded me of something else instead of the whatever I'm reading. Like, I could read this with a straight face, but I remember something else. Something more stupid than whatever I'm reading right now. Anyway, no matter what you think, I want Fest to just take a knife and cut open my throat, ending my life. I want to breathe my last breath as she says to me, "You're an eyesore." You mean you're a chair. Festan is my waifu. Take that to the BDSM thread. Also, Fest is my waifu actually. Stop bumping this. Shit. This what you guys meant by new gen prophecy stuff? O servant revealed by the light of the moonlit night. Connect the phantasmal paths which lead to this place. Little do they know their screams will soon turn to silence, and reproach shall fall upon us as we link hand in hand within the wind. By the way, I say fuck Phantasm. Like Lamau, their fans are terrifying. You'd think they were all brainwashed. Well, now you're gonna get it. Don't leak the lyrics, dumbass. What a brainless troll. Those lyrics. Depending on how you interpret them, they could be seen as referring to the group Dive. What the fuck? I don't get how it does anyway. And yet those lyrics had been released 2 months ago, which meant they hadn't been written at their crucifixion.
これが予知ってこと？
Could it just be a coincidence, or could Phantasm be yet another one of those demon girls' underlings? I read the thread in more detail, only to find out that each of the 3 new gen incidents had all been prophesied by Phantasm's lyrics. However, the lyrics for the songs that supposedly prophesied the man-child and crucifixion incidents had not been posted on that channel. Apparently, uploading them online was viewed as a taboo of sorts. The philosophy seemed to be, if you really want to know, just go to the concerts and buy an album for yourself. What the fuck? What is this logic? I don't know. Maybe this is their societal thing. But what the fuck? Anyway, doesn't make sense to me. Regardless, there were a great number of people online trying to predict the next new gen case based on the songs Phantasm had performed this far. No, sorry, I'm really bothered by this is kind of nonsense to me. This is this is the most Reddit thing I ever read, man. Anyway. Apparently ever since New Gen kicked off, Phantasm's albums have been completely selling out. They had been so successful, in fact, that even mainstream media had picked up on it. Gothic band boasting cult following rises among the youth of Shibuya. News stories like that were popping all over the place. The one writing the lyrics was the head singer Fez. Nobody knew her real name. What if Fez was actually the demon girl? If she was, it would explain how she managed to prophesy the incidents literal months before they occurred. The demon girl was the culprit after all. I tried doing an image search, but I couldn't find any good photos of her face. All the pictures were taken by phones during the concerts. They were so blurry that I couldn't even begin to make out her face. I wiped the sweat-drenched forehead with the hem of my shirt. I was frustrated. I was scared. I couldn't believe anything. I didn't even want to see anything. Several emotions swirled within me, suffocating me. My breathing hadn't even come to stabilizing this entire time. But even so, I knew one thing was for certain. I needed to see Fez's face. With trembling fingers, I typed in Phantasm's name and clicked on their official website. The site was mostly black, decorated only by the text of a uniform dark crimson color. It was unrelenting in its simplicity, yet it felt so incredibly eerie and strange. What are you talking about? This is the most edgy thing, this is the most Chudy thing I've ever seen in a long time. Anyway, there was barely anything on the site at all, just basic information on their concerts and discography. There wasn't even a single image. There was no profile of the band members or anything on their song lyrics.
やっぱり犯人だけあってネットに顔写真が流出しないようにしてるのか。
Talk about Toro. I took a look at their performance schedule. I saw they typically perform about every other week. The next concert was...
あさって。
If I went to it, I'll be able to check whether Fez was the demon girl or not. But even if I did find out they were one and the same, what would I even do? report Pez to the police? Cry and beg for her to leave me alone? Bring a crucifix and attempt a mock exorcism? Yeah, none of those were gonna happen. I was up against a demon. There was no way in hell an otaku freak like me could come out on top. Problem is, if I didn't, I'd die. Should transform my corpse into the newest art piece. It will be posted on All Things New Gen site as yet another case.
そんなのやだ
But if I didn't do something, I'd never find out what that picture of me that Shogun had sent really meant. And on the odd chance that Fez wasn't connected to the demon girl, maybe I could ask her to help me fight against whoever demon girl actually was.
だけどやっぱり無理だライブなんて行けるわけがない
I'd never been to one in my life. That sort of thing was infinitely beyond my comfort zone. Not to mention, concert halls were cramped, dark, noisy, and crowded. Just imagining a place like that made me want to hurl. I was at my wit's end. I had no idea what to do. The chills on the back of my neck still hadn't gone away, and the painful prickling sensation suddenly turned into a burning one. I looked behind me yet again, but like always, nobody was there.
もうやめてよ
Wait, I got distracted for a bit, but I need to check something really quickly. Oh, Taiga has another re-release. That's interesting. Nia also has another pop-up parade. That's interesting. I'm really distracted. Okay, I really got distracted because I saw a post in X or Twitter, whatever. You know, whatever. You know, it's Twitter. They were comparing the price of a bowl of ramen from Ippudo, and for example, in Japan, a bowl of ramen from Ippudo would cost like 850 yen. In America, the same bowl would cost around 2,899 yen. wait, let me translate that into dollars. What the hell is that? I mean, I eaten recently in Ippudo like 3 or 4 or a month ago, but I just wanted to know the dollar amount. This is without tip and all that. It is $19.59, which is consistent with how much it actually is. I usually get one for like $20 or 22. That's without the tax part and the tip, which is like oh, I didn't know Indonesia. Oh, I didn't know Indonesia had like a bowl of Ippudo ramen is like cheaper than in Japan. That's a very interesting insight. I'm gonna share this on my Twitter later. Anyway, I mean my Instagram. It's 12:30. I should be getting some sleep soon. What's my stopping point? I'll figure out my stopping point when I feel it. Maybe 30 minutes, or if something shows up in the screen that makes me want to feel stopping now. Well, let's continue for now. I closed my eyes tightly, focusing on nothing other than waiting for the gaze to disappear. I didn't want to go through this torment for the rest of my life. For all I knew, the gaze would straight up kill me someday.
考えろ、匠。僕にできることを考えろ。
Hiding in the shadow of a telephone pole, I looked at the Gigantes concert hall from afar. After agonizing over it all day yesterday, I'd somehow managed to nut up and did what I needed to be done. So here I was, Gigantes. It was located on the narrow street in Shibuya, beneath the elevated railroad tracks. It had a very distinct red brick exterior. The exterior was lit up too, giving off an old-fashioned, austere vibe that made it feel as if I'd been transported back in time to the 50s or something. To think that a spot like this was in Shibuya of all places, I'd had no idea it even existed until yesterday. It was only 5 minutes from the station on foot, yet there weren't very many people at all. Every once in a while, a train would pass over the elevated tracks with a tremendous roar, and the telephone phone I was hiding behind would tremble slightly, but that was about it. Just a moment ago, there had been a bunch of what appeared to be Phantasm fans in front of Gigantes, and some of them were wearing outfits so out there I'd almost mistaken them for cosplayers. However, what surprised me the most was that there honestly weren't that many of them. Despite being such a huge topic online, there must have been no more than 100 people there. Regardless, they were all inside the building now. The concert had already begun, but since none of the audio managed to bleed outside, I certainly didn't feel like it. My heart palpitations had gone away after falling asleep yesterday, but they come back with a vengeance the second I arrived in front of the venue. I've been so hard to breathe, I'd almost thought I was dealing with some kind of heart failure. But really, I knew exactly why it was so bad. This place was filled with thick, impenetrable darkness. The demon girl and her underlings could be lurking around any corner. Knowing that, I've been on the lookout for anyone that might attack me ever since I got here. The sheer anxiety and paranoia was comparable to what it felt like going through the Watts volcano dungeon in ESO. Mobs in the Watts volcano dungeon was OP as hell. It was surrounded by a kind of law that insta-kill you if you so much as clip it with your pinky toe. That shit couldn't have been playtested. The amount of times I died there, holy hell. I wiped the sweat off my forehead with a hand towel and gulped down the glob of saliva. Right as I did, the door at the top of the stairs opened, and the furious beating of drums reverberated from inside the Gigantes for a few seconds. A single guy exited from the door. He jogged nimbly down the stairs, then toward me.
Yo, Taku! Matta ka?
I had invited Misumi-kun to go to the venue with me. As I didn't know his phone number, I'd been forced to go to school today just to ask him to go. If he hadn't come with me, I probably wouldn't have even made it this far. Even if I somehow forced myself to go to the building alone, if the demon girl was there, it would be certified game over. So I had Misumi-kun operate as a scout. I did feel bad about throwing him into the line of fire, so I obviously hadn't told him about that part. The only people I could rely on him were him and Nanami, so I picked the less annoying of the two, Misumi-kun. I even covered his ticket costs, so in a sense you could say I'd hire him for 1,000 yen.
ほらよ、これ CD な。俺自分の分も買っちまったよ。
Misumi-kun handed me a Phantasm album. They were being sold for an outrageous premium in online auctions, but I heard on that channel they were also available at their concert, so I'd asked Misumi-kun to buy one for me. And now that I had one, I had achieved half of the goals I set out for myself. As for the remaining half...
いやー、予想以上にいいな、ファンタズムって。
Misumi-kun had been acting pretty excited ever since he exited the venue.
俺、あんまミーハーになりたくなかったんで聞こうとしなかったんだけどよ。今日ちょっと生で聞いただけでファンになっちまった。
The other thing I asked Misumi-kun to do was report anything in particular that stood out about the band members. I knew they would all come down on stage once the concert started, so I all wanted him to do a quick scan, then head back to me right after. And yet, despite my very specific instructions, he hadn't come back for a full 5 minutes after the show started. This was probably because he listened to the entirety of the first song.
特にボーカル。ありゃマジでいい女だぜ。お前、女見る目あるな。
I sighed internally, thinking with the wrong head like usual. Why was I even surprised? So much for... I'm no sheep.
どんな人だった？
ああ、そっか。報告な。なんか探偵みてえで面白えな。そう思わね
え？ Misumi-kun grinned to himself, and I pressed him again to tell me about Fess's appearance.
髪型はショートカットだった。
え？
And just like that, there was already a huge discrepancy. Did that mean Fez wasn't the demon girl? No. Wait. I couldn't let myself jump to conclusions here. She could have cut her hair, or she could have used hair extensions, or she could have changed it in some other way. It wouldn't surprise me if she had been in disguise when I seen her at the crime scene.
スタイルがすっげえ良くて、あと背が高かったな。ありゃ俺と同じぐらいはあるんじゃねえの？
背が
And the same height as you? Misumi-kun and I were about the same height, which means Fez was probably around 170 centimeters tall. Pretty tall for a girl. But I haven't gotten that impression at all when I encountered the demon girl. The memories from back then were hazy, but I still felt the demon girl had been shorter than me. Yet another thing that didn't line up then.
他には？
そうだな。アンニュイな雰囲気してたな。 声はクールってイメージかな。結構ボソボソと喋るタイプだった。胸のサイズはまあまあ。でもゴスパンの服は妙な色気があったぜ。ああいうのもありだな。断然あり。
Oh, god damn it. Every single word he said was completely fucking useless. Then again, I've only gotten a quick look at the demon girl, so I couldn't exactly list her features. This plan was probably doomed from the start.
っていうかよ、そんなにフェスに興味あるなら自分の目で見ればいいじゃねえか。ほら、行こうぜ。
Misumi-kun began to push me from behind, forcing me up the stairs up to Gigantes. I desperately tried to fight back, but Misumi-kun was stronger than me. I couldn't get away.
見たいんだろ、フェスの顔を。素直になるって。浮気ってのは男の差がだよな。たくも大人になったもんだぜ。
は？
この前一緒に帰ってたメガネの子のことは今夜だけは気にすんなって。俺も田中のことは忘れるからよ。
What the hell is he talking about? I tried to stand my ground and fight back, but to my honor, I realized I was already at the top of the stairs. Or, well, it was only the second floor. If I were to slip and fall, it would hurt like hell. Just the thought made me stop resisting as hard. And on the moment of my weakness, in that moment of weakness, my entire body weight was sent crashing through the door and into the venue. The second I hit the inside, the explosion of sound blasted my eardrums. I never experienced something so loud before. Even the pit of my stomach was being forcibly shaken by the vibrations. It was so intense. It felt as if my entire body was being crushed into pieces. There was no seats in the venue. Everyone was standing up to watch. They were all rocking their bodies in rhythm with each other, shouting fest, fest, fest as their fists shot up and down, still nowhere near the level that what I could perform though. The heat was devastating. It made me want to vomit. I might have been a otaku, but Idol is definitely not the type to obsess over idols or voice actors. And honestly, hated this kind of atmosphere. You could tell I was stuck out like a sore thumb, but thankfully nobody was paying any attention to me. There were so many people in front of me. I could barely see the stage at the far end of the room. Just the blinding stage lights and the faint figures of 4 people standing under me. As I was getting overwhelmed by everything happening around me, Misumi-kun handed me a plastic cup of soda. It seemed like Misumi-kun had paid for my ticket too, and had to make sure to pay him back later. Before I knew it, the song was over. The audience clapped and cheered. Then, having seemingly calmed down a little, everyone brought down their fists. Thanks to that, the road to the stage finally opened up, and I was able to see it clearly. I got a good look at the short-haired girl standing in the middle of the stage. She was definitely not the demon girl.
今日はいつもより調子いいわ。声がクリアに聞こえる。世界がとても澄んでいる。
The voice coming through the amp sounded nothing like the demon girl had said those cryptic words to me. Misumi-kun was right. Fez definitely had an aloof vibe to her. Despite her short hair, she didn't feel boyish. She gave off a mysterious aura with a mix of charm, allure, and a hint of distance. And to top it all off, the silver accessories she was wearing all glittered fantastically as they reflected the lights. It felt like I was starting to understand why there were so many trends about her on that channel. In this kind of concert, I always thought that the band members would be more energetic, but Fez seemed incredibly indifferent during the intermission. She was pretty much the exact opposite of the excited audience. Maybe that was just the type of person she was. But it seemed like the audience wasn't surprised by that. They just stayed silent during the break. listening closely to Fess's words.
呼吸と性の門が閉じているからかもしれない。
Here we go, Chuny boys. And girls. And whatever. Sorry? What? Cocytus? What language was she even speaking?
世界の均衡は大いなる意志が生まれてから数千年間保たれていた。でも今、それは崩れつつある。とても不安定。だから私は歌うわ。君たちのカオスを受け入れてあげる。
Oh, I guess they were a god punk band. So the band members probably had characters that they played. Maybe it was an easy way to win over the hearts of fans. Just sprout some random nonsense that hinted that it might mean something, giving it some mystique to keep people engrossed. Speaking of mystique, Fess was holding something strange in her hand. In her left hand was a plain old mic, but in the other, she was holding some sort of weirdly shaped mic stand. It looked like a sword. It was shaped so elegantly, it felt sinister. It looked so sharp that if you even so much as glaze it would slice your finger in two. It was huge too, as tall as Fess in fact. There were also lines of glass embedded on it, which glowed with an ominous blue light. I couldn't tell if it was really a sword or not, but either way, it wasn't half bad as a character accessory. No complaints there. I was strangely captivated by it. Then, using only her right arm, Fess casually lifted the huge mic stand. And with an underhand grip, he swung it sideways. The blue light from the glass drew a wide arc with its afterglow. What the hell? That was so dangerous. What if it hit someone in the crowd? That wasn't a mic stand. Could it be a sword? And every night, she would use it to cut the throat of some poor audience member, harvesting blood to offer to the demon girl or something. So, was this concert actually some sort of black mass organized by a bunch of witches? Well, Spurgus, you know? Anyway, a fierce chill ran down my spine just thinking about it. Goosebumps covered my entire body. I should really get out of here as soon as possible, but the moment I thought that, Fess let out a gentle whisper.
次は3曲目。密教の首飾り。
Corral let out a huge cry of joy upon hearing that. A moment later, the moment the members of the them all started playing, a second flood of sound poured into my ears. A thunderous roar came from the speakers, a roar that felt like it was going to blow out my eardrums. How had these people not gone dead yet, hanging out in places like this all the time? Looking to my side, I noticed Mr. Miku was fully into it, pumping his fist in sync with the rest of the audience. The intro ended, Fess began to sing, and when I heard the lyrics, I swallowed hard. He was singing the prophetic song that had been posted all over our channel. There's a dark piece that didn't feel the slightest bit optimistic. Even its melody felt like a religious song, and the lyrics definitely didn't help. Everyone was getting riled up at first, but as the song went on, the excitement dropped further and further. And by the end, everyone just stood there, not saying a word. And that was because everyone was fully lost in the sound. Some of them just stared at Fess, moving fast. And that was definitely something about Fess singing voice that captivated people. Even as I battled fear and nausea in the middle of the crowd, I found myself listening very closely to her song. I wanted to miss it. Goosebumps sprang all over me. For a moment, it felt like the air itself had frozen over. The song ended. Fess was looking down at the stage, swinging her body from side to side as she soaked in the last echoes of the music. And then she suddenly looked back up. Without even gazing around for a moment, she instantly... Alright, let's go for the positive delusion. Looked at me. It wasn't like she glanced in the general direction of my eyes or like she briefly made eye contact with me or anything like that. Fess was blatantly looking right at me. I'd even go so far as to say she was staring at me fixedly, as if evaluating my existence, as if searching deep within my heart. Her gaze was all too intense, and yet, somehow, she seemed a little sad. As she descended from the stage into the audience, I couldn't take my eyes off her. What was going through her head, I wondered. The rest of the Phantasm members were soon playing, but Fez wasn't singing this time. Just wandered about in the middle of the crowd, and then she casually threw her jacket off, exposing her sexy shoulders. The previously quiet fans were getting excited once again. Everyone threw their fists into the air as they jumped up and down wildly. They made the ground shake so hard it felt like an earthquake. However, nobody laid a finger in Fez. Maybe they thought she was too holy of an existence to be touched. Normally, if a girl with her charisma building the crowd, it wouldn't be surprising if they got crushed to death. But it seemed like Anthos and herd of sheep had agreed to restrain themselves, all abiding the unspoken rule of "do not touch Fez." And in doing so, they could feel Fez's presence right in front of them. They could savor the fragrance of Fez's sweat. They could touch the same air as Fez. And that was the greatest joy of their followers could ever know. Until this point, I thought that this was just any other performance, but I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw what Fez did next. She casually began to fasten the belt around her waist, and then she threw it into the ground, and all her followers instantly reached for it, competing with one another to lay claim over it. Then, the sideline glanced at them, Fez unzipped her miniskirt. Her skirt gently fell to her feet. Her black sensual underwear was exposed. She seemed not to have care in the world about her acolyte seeing her in such a revealing clothing. Maybe she was high off the atmosphere of the venue, or maybe this was part of the performance, or maybe she was just an exhibitionist. I had no idea, but her eroticism kept my eyes glued to her all the same. Fess looked at me once more. Her lips formed a bewitching smile. Fess's eyes was fixed on me, never once looking elsewhere. She slowly started approaching as if she found her target. Then, when she finally arrived before my very eyes, as if I was her lover, she blew her sweet breath toward me and wrapped her arms around me. Her skin was slightly damp with sweat. The scent and warmth was so alluring that made me dizzy. Her breast pressed up against me, quickly and repeatedly rushing up and down her body. I guess it's true what they say about singing being exhausting, because I could feel her ragged breath directly on my skin. Her arms were wrapped around my back, holding me close. Her nails were digging into the nape of my neck, and her thighs were twinned around my leg. Shivers ran through my entire body like jolts of electricity. I wasn't able to push her aside, nor could I return her embrace. The only thing I could do was stand still, staring at her with my eyes wide in confusion. Her followers cheered again, but this time the music sounded more like screams. The music played by Phantasm intensified. Chants of Fess echoed throughout the venue. The shouts of "Do it, do it" began to follow. Do it? Do what exactly? In a situation like this, what could they be talking about? I have no idea. Fess, meanwhile, just kept hugging me in silence. I looked for Mr. McCoon's silhouette in the crowd. And when I found him, to my surprise, he returned on a tense kiss with a girl in the crowd I'd never seen before. It wasn't just Mr. McCoon. The rest of the acolyte boys and girls alike were putting their coats off and getting as naked as the day they were born. Some embraced one another, others placed their lips together, and some were beginning to do the deed. Howls, screams of pandemonium complete complemented the ordinary of carnal pleasure. Moans, groans, and obscene sounds of flesh rubbing against flesh were created throughout the venue, where Phantasm had just performed. This is a black mass. I finally realized this was an obscene fest feast, hosted by the witch known as Fess. And more importantly, sacrifice brought in for the witch today was me. I had been chosen as a partner for Fess. Was this really what the Phantasm concert was like? I was also beginning to lose myself in the atmosphere. I could feel a haziness engulfing my mind. I felt excitement towards what was about to come, but also dread. I felt superior, having been chosen by Fez, but also completely entranced by ecstasy. I thought I was going insane, like time. The world had completely stopped. It stopped completely. Fess's laughter reached my ears once more. Even in this flood of sound, I could hear her voice clear as day. What a sexy voice. Just hearing the sound of it put me on the verge of fainting. But Fez was seducing me. We were driving further and further into the melting pot of pleasure. Her teeth lightly sang to my earlobe. She let out a sigh right into my ear, and then she whispered,
その目、誰の目?
Oh, shit!
フェスエロいよ、フェス。
Sitting in front of my PC, I had gotten lost in another delusion of mine. The concert I'd gone to earlier today was a great inspiration. After all, as far as 3D girls went, Fez was pretty nice. That said, the number of people in the crowd had been way too high. Hell would have had to freeze over for me to go there again. I wanted to get the fuck off basically the entire time. In the end, the size of the crowd made me too sick, so I had to rush to leave the venue. Today's delusion had been awesome, and who knows, maybe Phantasm and Fest actually did that kind of stuff. They just decided to skip today. Well, anyway, I guess I'll log on to ESO or something. To me, ESO was my life. It was my happy place. A breath of fresh air that let me forget all about the real world. As long as I could immerse myself in ESO, I could forget about all my troubles. I could stop being me, and instead wander Baselord as Nineheart. But today, for some reason, Nineheart was a little off. Yeah, I knew that he relied entirely on my inputs and decisions, but somehow I found myself struggling to pull off things I could normally do with my eyes closed. This game was supposedly to be a breath of fresh air, but today, the more I played it, the more irritated I got.
なんだよこいつ！捨てるぞお前！
I knew it was all my fault, but I still took my anger out on Nineheart.
ああもうムカつく！
I yanked at my hair and kicked the bare steel wall. Having let out all my anger, I took a deep breath and sat back down on my chair. I stare vacantly at my monitor. Nightheart was just standing there, facing toward the gate of Shangri-Lu, free of my control. His back was facing toward me, just as it always was when I fought enemies, and of course he was at the maximum level.
僕の経験値っていくつなんだろう。
Had the human known as Nishido Takumi leveled up even slightly ever since he started playing ESO? No, since he had been born? If I had, then why was I still so bad at talking to people, even though I was merely an adult? Why was I a borderline shut-in? If I then logged into Nightheart's release, would he have turned into a shut-in like me? Whose eyes are those eyes? I suddenly remember those words as he stared at Nightheart's back. I was mildly interested in what Nightheart would do when I wasn't controlling him. So, figuring I would serve him for a little bit, I let my keyboard alone as I ate some chips.
もしナイトハルトに自我があるとしたら。
Then, surely he'd waltz right into the city of Shangri-Lu, wind blowing against his shoulders, right? He was the hero everyone worshipped after all. Another positive illusion. Let's go.
ねえ、ナイトハルト。僕はいつでもお前を見てるんだぞ。お前はそれに気づいてるの？
And then let's go to the 2D world. I haven't typed anything, yet Nightheart still spoke. Thinking it was just an optical illusion, I rubbed my eyes, but the message was still there, displayed in chat. Go to the 2D world. What was that supposed to mean? Even you can be a hero.
それって
We'll fight together.
僕に言ってるの？
You're not into 3D, right? You couldn't care less about it.
いや、そうだけど。
Nightheart was speaking to me, the player controlling him. What the fuck? Did he have a will of his own after all? Place your hand onto the monitor. When you do it, you'll be able to enter Baselord. Ask Nishido Takumi. The password is... Whose eyes are those eyes?
だが断る。二次元世界に行くなら、せっかくだから僕はエロゲの世界を選ぶぜ。バゼラードはお前に任せるよ、ナイトハルト。
After replying, I used force shutdown to turn off my computer. That was... It's kind of weird. For a positive delusion, that was kind of weird. Anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened. I reluctantly decided to go to school today. But before I knew it, I found myself going to buy a phone with my little sister. I'm sure you don't understand what I'm saying, but I don't really understand it either. I thought I was going insane.
お兄、何ブツブツ言ってんの？それよりほら、この機種はどうかって聞いてるんだけど。
Yo, Besimoto is back in the menu. I think I want to go home. Besides, how many times do I have to tell you that I don't need a cell phone? God, it hurts having a sister who's brain dead. When I got into school today, Anatomy had made her assault right into my classroom after happily saying, "Wow, you actually came to school today." She ordered me to go out and buy a phone with her once school was over. Once the bell rang, I tried to escape without her noticing, but forgotten how quick Anatomy was on her feet. So after being chased and easily caught up to, I found myself being dragged all the way to the front of the station. I didn't want to go anywhere near the station, and it felt like the whole way there. Felt like that a whole way there. Even now I already felt like I was gonna throw up. Anatomy though, Not giving a damn about what I felt, I was busy admiring the many different models on display in front of the store. I tried to wrap my head around why exactly Nanami was so insistent about getting me a phone, but I just got a headache instead.
これ色が結構可愛いじゃん。いいと思うな。
So she was asking for my opinion. I gave a simple reply.
それっていい？
でもな、お兄にはちょっと可愛すぎかも。似合わなさそう。
See? It didn't even matter what I said. That would have happened regardless. I completely lost track of how many times I said, that's fine, at this point. She would ask for my opinion, but she didn't actually intend to listen to it. This was exactly why treating girls suck so much ass.
お兄、大丈夫？やっぱり人の多さにやられちゃった？マクディで休もうか？
McD? Fucking prime hangout spot for DQNs? That place was hell incarnate. I finally shook my head no.
そっか。じゃあなるべく早めに決めるね。でもちょっと迷っちゃっててさ。
I sighed, deciding to just leave Nanami behind and go home. While Nanami intensely examined the array of cell phones, I took my chance to look away. Right as I turned toward 107, I saw something so strange it stopped me dead in my tracks. What was that? Across the crowds of people on the stairs to 107 stood a girl that stuck out like a sore thumb. Was she holding a sword? The color and the aura it gave off felt somewhat similar to the mic stand Fez had been using at the concert. In fact, I'd say it was perfectly fair to think of them in the same vein. But even then, it was still one massive sword. It might have been even longer than Fez's mic stand. To my surprise, that girl was wearing a Sume uniform. I couldn't make out her face from this distance, but despite holding something so conspicuous, the girl seemed relaxed as could be. She simply watched the people walk down the street from atop the stairs. Talk about bravery. I was seriously impressed. I couldn't believe she was walking around right smack in the middle of Shibuya with that massive toy sword. Must have been one hell of a humiliation fetish. Was this sword of a cosplay prop from some new anime? Then again, I was pretty familiar with all anime that was airing. Was there really a series with a sword like that? Had it slipped under my radar? Of course, walking around Shibuya holding one would be too much for me, but the sword itself was pretty damn cool. I don't want to get one, honestly. I wonder if I could get one in Akiba. Even better if I could order it online. I was suddenly struck with an elbow to the back. The pain almost made me black out and collapse into the spot. I turned around to find Nanami with her hands on her hips, sunless as could be.
もしかして逃げようとした？確かにナナが選ぶのに時間かけすぎたのは悪いと思うけどさ。だからってナナを置き去りにして逃げようとするなんてひどいよ。
Guys, I'm actually like, I feel bad because why does he have this kind of Imoto? He doesn't deserve this kind of Imoto, man. Fuck this guy. You. I lazily shook my head from side to side.
お兄のバカ！携帯の電磁波の浴びすぎで腎臓を悪くして死んじゃえ！
The fuck was her deal?
一生懸命お兄のために選んであげてたナナがバカみたいじゃん。こうなったらもう適当に決める。お兄なんてナナと同じ機種で十分だよ。
Nanami forcibly grabbed my arm.
本気で今日契約するんだからね。それまで絶対逃がさない。
わかったよ。話せよ。
わかったならさっさと来て。
I didn't have a clue why Nanami had gotten so worked up. She really was a pain in the ass. I'm never gonna make it, guys. The more I see him, like, fuck over such a good emoto, I was like, fuck this guy, man. Fuck this guy. Anyway, let's continue. In the end, Nanami picked out a model with ease. If she hadn't had just spent 10 years trying to choose, after spending around an hour on the contract and other technical stuff, I tried to finally head home with my phone. But Nanami stopped me.
ナナが初期設定してあげるからマクディやろ。
Without waiting for a response, she grabbed me by the back of my collar and started dragging me to the nearest MacD against my will. It's been a while since I ate at McDonald's. Sorry, that was a random
ど
thought.
うせお兄携帯持って帰っても電源入れずにほったらかしにするに決まってるんだから。ナナがちゃんと使えるようにしてあげる。
God damn it. How much longer was she planning to hold me hostage? And of all places she could have chosen to do it in, why MacD? The inside of Shibuya MacD was the embodiment of chaos. To think of it, I never actually went inside McDonald's in Japan. I only went inside KFC in Japan. And you know, Asian KFC is the best, man. I don't know why. Like, KFC in the US is like shit tier, man. It's like, what the fuck? But like, if you eat KFC in Asia, like in Japan, I think I also tried KFC in Taiwan. It was also good. And actually, back home in my home country, the Philippines, it was the best shit ever. I actually even tried KFC in the test kitchen. It was next level good. Yeah, you should always try KFC at the test kitchen. That's like, you'll always be assured that like, the quality is really good. Anyway, I don't want to make myself feel bad because, you know, KFC in the US is so shit. Anyway, let's McDonald's, man. It's already 1:12. I was supposed to end 3, but let me continue a little bit more. Are we too far from our first encounter with Remy? I think it's too far. I don't know. I want to continue. There were shitloads of people, and none of them ever shut the hell up. Sheer amounts of DQNs was off the charts. At the table next to us sat 3 DQN tier mothers with their dyed brown hair. To make things even better, they brought their kids with them. They just let their children, these 3 little crouch goblins with red headlights, to be specific, to run around the restaurant screaming their heads off instead of controlling them. They just kept on chatting away. Honestly, I think if any parent let their child to do that in like a public place, they're straight up assholes, you know? Or like in the plane, you know? I mean, you can't do anything about baby crying, but when they're like at least older than at least a toddler and older, that's like, you know. Anyway, at a different table was yet another group of DQNs. This time made of 4 high school guys all laughing like obnoxious pricks. Next, 2 high school girls completely with baggy socks and dyed brown hair sat opposite to each other. Hyper-focused their phones, they didn't even bother talking. Gyarus? I guess those are Gyarus, and this is late 2000s to this BM, so it would have fit the timeline for like Gyarus. Anyway, beside them was a snoring middle-aged businessman, slumped down on his table, making it pretty obvious he was skipping out on work. But what really made me double take was the table close by with a group of 5 elementary schoolers. Some boys, some girls, they all sat there with their little tiny school bags on the floor, happily chatting up with each other as their legs swung back and forth beneath the table. So, considering that it was co-ed, Was it a mixer? It was, wasn't it? Weren't they elementary schoolers? Well, regardless, the point is that as far as the eye could see, there were groups of people that I avoided like the plague. So basically, he hated normal people. Nanami had no problem in relaxing in a place like this. Me, on the other hand, just setting foot in here only served to make my headache and nausea 1,000 times worse. Wait, why the hell did I have to play along with my sister and stay here in the first place?
ねえねえ、着信メロディーはどうする？なんか希望ある？
Not even looking into my direction, Nanami played around with my phone as she prodded me for an answer. You know, I'm still mad. I'm still mad. Jesus Christ. Your Imoto is paying attention to you like that. And she was happily even doing things for you. I'm never gonna make it, guys!
アニソン。
アニソン。Big and アニソン。
キャッカー。そんなだからお兄はオタクさんなんだよ。
You're the one asking me what I prefer. Come on, it's my phone. So at least let me pick what I want.
あ、そうだ。大村彼らの新曲にしたら？あれすっごくいい曲だよ。最近のナナのお気に入り。
それこそ却下だ。
うん、まあお兄に大村彼らは似合わないか。
After showing me how little she actually cared about what I thought, Nanami took whatever. Sorry, I really got into the voice. I really got into that voice. I should probably mention that this bitch asked for the fish sandwich combo before dinner, one that I had to pay for. I, meanwhile, was feeling so garbage that my appetite has long gone. Piece of shit sister spoiling her appetite and mine. Fucking bullshit.
あ、そうそう。それとね。
For whatever reason, Nanami placed her bag on her lap and started digging through her contents. Let me read the story here. Let me read the story.
あったあった。
Then she probably took out
ゲロカエルの不良品。
不良品じゃないよ。先週出たギョロリゲロカエル。
は？
知らないんだ。やっぱ遅れてるなお兄は。ゲロカエルって毎週金曜日に新作が発売されてるんだよ。もう全部で12種類ぐらいあるんだから。
Seriously? Was there really enough demand for weekly releases?
ナナが携帯につけてるのは最初に出た普通のゲロカエルでしょ。で、次がデブッチョゲロカエルで、その次がカクカクゲロカエル。
Without skipping a beat, Nanami recited the names of various Scarab frogs.
第4弾がのっぺらゲロカエルで、第5弾が輝くゲロカエル。第6弾が一番人気があって猫ゲロカエルっていうの。その後が幽霊ゲロカエル、眠るゲロカエル、燃えるゲロカエル、ゾンビゲロカエル、酔っ払いゲロカエル。
I don't know why, but listening to all this conversation and the soundtrack, it totally felt like the scene from Steins Gate. I mean, obviously because they're the same makers, but this movie gave me a Steins Gate, you know, the slice of life scene Steins Gate vibes. How the hell did she remember all those? Hang on, had she...
お前コンプリートしてるの？
もちろんだよ。全部集めなきゃ意味ないもん。毎週買うのに行列ができるんだからね。
For a half-ass piece of shit garbage like that? To be honest, even I could hit a better design. Wait, why had she even decided to start lecturing me on Garo Frogs to begin with?
というわけで、このギョロリゲロカエルあげる。
なんで？
この のストラップを携帯につければ少しは女子から「おやるな」っていう目で見てもらえるから。
Bro. You don't deserve an emote like this, man. You don't deserve an emote like this. Why? After seeing that, Nanami started to put the strap on my phone. I don't want that. What the fuck?
コンプしなきゃ意味ないんだろ。僕がそれもらったらお前揃わないぞ。
心配しなくても大丈夫。2つ買ったもん。
毎回2つ買ってるのか。
I'm starting to seriously doubt her aesthetic taste.
今回だけだよ。お兄の携帯用に余分に買ったの。
I'm never gonna make it, guys. I'm guessing every scene from Nanami from here on that is gonna make me like this. Even on the more serious scene.
わざわざ。
わざわざ。
Having now finished attaching the strap, Nanami gave a satisfied nod before wrapping her mouth around her soda straw. Then she suddenly leaned forward, startling me.
別に並んだのはお兄のためじゃないよ。
She's also. I mean, is it just me or she slightly blush? I can't take
あ
this.
くまで
Man.
ついでなんだから。
いらない。
はあ
Oh, she did. She did. Because the blush disappeared. Still leaning forward, Nanami opened her eyes wide. She looked like she might draw to look at me at any moment.
いらないってナナがわざわざ買ってきてあげたのに。
ついでだったんだろ。っていうか僕ゲロカエルンとか興味ないし、むしろキモいし。
だからお兄は女子にモテないんだよ。
I almost expected her to slap me, but surprisingly, Nanami managed to rein in her temper and sit back down. And suddenly, instead of taking her anger out of me, she started nibbling on her fry instead that she sulked.
でも
I'm
抵
getting
抗しても
her
無駄
fries
だ
right
から
now.
ね。ギョロリゲロカエルンもうくっつけちゃったもん。
She sure was acting like the queen of everything. Then again, I knew jack shit about cell phones. Yeah, tight. So it was true that Nanami knew best here.
もし勝手に外したら毎週並んでもらうの K だからね。
It's almost 1:30. I should stop and get to sleep, you know. I was actually planning to watch one episode of Kantai Collection before I went to sleep. What time am I going to sleep? Anyway, let's continue.
並ぶって何に？
決まってんじゃん。新作ゲロカエルンを買うための行列。2時間待ちとか普通だから。
Not a chance in hell. No way I was gonna let my sister hit me with a threat like that. For a while after that, Nanami wordlessly continued to fiddle around my phone. I wasn't particularly pricky about whatever she was setting up, so I was honestly grateful for the silence.
なんだか変な気分だな。
The next time she opened her mouth, her sullen demeanor from before had completely disappeared. I guess she only needed a few minutes to forget the annoying shit instead of having to sleep it off. Talk about easygoing. In a way, I envied her.
うん、やっぱ変だよ。お兄とこうして2人で出かけるのって久しぶりな気がするもん。
Oh, you should spend time with your remote, though.
いつ以来かな。よく思い出せないや。お兄はいっつも部屋にこもってアニメ見てるかゲームしてるかだもんね。ま、たまにはこういうのもいいかな、新鮮で。さすがに毎日はナナも嫌だけど。
Nanami placed my phone on the table and picked up her fish sandwich. She happily undid the wrapping, then heartily sank her teeth in. Come to think of it, I feel like she said at one point that the fish sandwich here was her favorite food.
せいぜい太るがいいさ。
Nanami instantly stopped moving. Ah, the music stops, man. Oh man, it's gonna be a world of pain. She glared at me menacingly. Then after hesitating for a second, she bashfully held out her half-eaten fish sandwich.
半分食べる？
Hi! What is this bait? What is this bait?
もう手遅れだよ。うん。
そういうこと言うと上司に嫌われるって覚えといた方がいいよ、バカ鬼。
Nanami ended up finishing the fish sandwich all on herself. All on her own. What a fucking fat ass. That guy. Maybe he's important. Anyway, after that, Nanami held me hostage with hours of useless chatter. And by the time I finally had my phone back, it was already dark. It'd been a long, painful few hours, but eventually I was able to get away from Nanami and start heading back home. Fall seemed to be in full swing now, with night breeze carrying a slight chill, one that suited my headache and nausea. Those two things never failed to torment me whenever I spent a long time in the crowds. Honestly, Nanami, kill yourself. Okay, don't actually, but still, kill yourself. Same goes for you, man. Anyway, she only ever thought about herself. She probably didn't even have a clue about how much torture she constantly inflicted on me. Okay. You know, I totally get where he's coming from. But she's just showing love in her own way. But you know, he's right. He's kind of right. You know, she could have been a little bit more thoughtful about it. I mean, she was showing her love in her own way, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I don't know, because this is fucking. Anyway, let's continue. I don't want to ponder about something so small. If I had the option, I would love to snap my new phone clearly in half right now and throw it into the nearest trash can. It wasn't like I bought it with my own money after all. But if I actually did that, it wouldn't just be Nanami that would come to my base, but my parents too. And then, without picking up a damn thing, to just go, oh, since it's broken you, let's go and buy you a new one, like the idiots they were. Thus, I reluctantly suppressed my urge just to smash the damn thing. I need to get home, and quickly. I could hear another night at ESO calling my name. Not a single day had passed recently that I hadn't filled me with endless anxiety. I really hope my peaceful everyday would hurry up and come back already. On that night, another gruesome, grotesque case occurred, the fourth New-Gen case. Like always, Grim laid out the details to me when I was playing ESO. You know what, let me call this a stopping point. They're also already like 1:29, so I'm gonna actually watch one episode of Can Eat, and I'm just gonna go to sleep and go through another full day of waging. It is what it is. All right. Yeah. You guys enjoyed watching, and yeah, we'll do more of this tomorrow. I'll try to hopefully I try to be hopefully I'll try to be early tomorrow. Actually I was kind of at home like at like 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock ish. But I ate dinner and for some reason I felt like taking a nap until 9. I don't know what the fuck was that about. But yeah, should really. I'll try to be early tomorrow. So I really want to finish this soon. I know I'm still far off considering how much I remember from the anime and where we are right now. We haven't even met Ravi yet. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys are watching and I'll see you guys on the next stream. Ciao.